It reads to me like an absolutely no bullshit training camp in Kansas City where I don't care who you are, you ain't safe. If your number ain't 15, you ain't safe. If somebody's better than you, they're going to play. A guy like Myles Garrett, like he plays with speed through things that slow other players down. Like he just does. His strides are so big. Like you're not going to slow the guy down. I've seen him plant people on bootlegs, play action pass, move the pocket, change the launch point. It doesn't matter. He's going to be there. This division is going to be like the most fun thing of all time. Like this division maybe should be illegal. It's so fun.
Yeah. It's like two beers division. Not a drunk division. This is going to be good.
This is going to be good. It's tipsy. Welcome to 2026 Division Preview Series here at Studio J. We're back in business. Macon's here. Cowboy's here on the couch with Macon. Nolan's inside the computer. Tanner's behind the machines.
What's up?
Let's get this shit started.
Cal's been looking at my notes, did some note taking.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He offered you a stapler.
He keeps wanting to staple my 8 pages of notes together.
He's rolling in here with loose paper, and
And making you a little nervous.
yeah, because then we're gonna spill it, and then it's gonna be all over the floor, and he's gonna.
We don't want that.
Can't have rustling when we're looking at the NFC West.
This is
a truly classy division.
This is a classy division. It's we're starting in the West. I mean, we could have done this any kind of way. We're starting in the West, and we're going to do the NFC West and the AFC West on this particular show. Starting with the West because I think that's where the best football is being played this season. And I think the NFC West deserves a nod because they have the Super Bowl champions, the Seattle Seahawks. So, Seahawks fans, you're not going to have to wait long on this program. And, you know, you had some supporters here last year. I think Macon and I were on the Seahawks train.
That's right.
And they made us look smart. So appreciate y'all. And I want to start out with the odds here, the NFC West division winner odds. Macon, what do you see on the screen?
The favorite to win this division is the Los Angeles Rams at -105. Turned 40 this summer, so the vision's getting a little worse. Seahawks second, +210. Niners at +325. And Cardinals rounding out the division with a lot of zeros.
That is a lot of zeros. Good value there at +10,000. There's more talent on that team than you think. There's a lot of players that are less talented, but there are also talented players on that team.
There are like 17 critical injuries on the other team away from
That's it.
being a real player.
That's it. You never know. You find some value there.
Yeah.
+10,000. And the Rams, the people are already fitting them for their Super Bowl rings. So let's get into it, shall we? We'll start with the Seahawks, the team that actually won the Super Bowl last year. All right, so we talk about this on the show a lot. Obviously, magical season last year. And a team that reminds me, and I was talking to Nolan about this earlier today, it reminded me of, I'm not saying we were as good or, you know, our defense was as good, but just the sum of the parts and where they came from reminded me of our Philly Super Bowl team. You know, I think we kind of were a little bit more off the map in the preseason. You know, people expected the Seahawks to probably be, you know, a fringe playoff contender. But the thing I love about the Seahawks is they're really a team. It's a great football team. If you'd have asked people walking around on the street last August, who are the superstars on the Seahawks team? You know, maybe a ball knower would say, hey, Leonard Williams is pretty damn good. Or obviously JSN is an ascending talent. But maybe it's the fact that they're quarterbacked by Sam Darnold, a guy who you know has had no choice but to operate with humility in the league. He's been at a bunch of different stops. We've talked about him being basically left for dead. I mean, even when he was good in Minneapolis for the Vikings, he wasn't good enough, and they moved on, and you saw how that worked out. So, you know, the whole team just seems to be good dudes, man. And the head coach has created a culture where it's about unselfishness and about the team first. I mean, repeating is one of the hardest things in sports, man. And that's what they're about to embark on, is this journey of trying to win 2 Super Bowls in a row in the NFL. I've gotten experience at one time with that Eagles team. It is not easy. I always tell that story. We started 4-6, got our shit together, ended up in the playoffs at the doorstep of the NFC Championship. We were this close. I expect this team to be a lot better than that 2018 Eagles team that I was on. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, but it is always hard to repeat. You got the target on your back, the pressure. Again, they're a team. They're not a high drama group. You don't have anybody making news on somebody's streaming. I don't even know what you even call it. You don't have somebody going viral on somebody's stream doing some stupid shit. You don't have anybody in trouble with the law. The only person that I saw this offseason doing something interesting was Leonard Williams, and he's spearfishing all the time. So it's a team full of cool dudes. Like, they get along well. They stick up for each other. The Ernest Jones going to bat for Sam Darnold last year, basically threatening people who didn't like Sam Darnold, some sort of physical altercation. Like, that's the kind of bond that this team has, and they had belief in each other. You want to know who believed in this team even before some of the people in this room last year when we called it? The guys on this fucking team. They believed in each other, and so they have the intangibles and the work ethic and the culture to put them back in the mix. Can they repeat? We'll see.
And the first Hard Knocks clip that has made the rounds is Mike McDaniel saying, hey, there are a bunch of cameras around, but that's cool. I'm not a cool guy. I'm not going to try to be somebody I'm not.
Yeah, I'm goofy.
They're just cameras here,
Yeah.
you know? And,
Yeah.
he's not going to get sped up. We gave him grief for taking down banners in the facility. Do you remember that?
We did.
That was one of his first moves.
I'm like, come on, man.
Honor the Legion of Boom,
Piss the LOB off.
etc. And he is genuinely himself. So when it
Yes.
starts from the top and you got an even keel there, that's a good place to begin.
I'm starting with the Seahawks, right? I think when you talk about their Super Bowl chances and getting back there, I don't want to oversimplify it, but it kind of comes down to this matchup with the team I'm going to preview second, the Rams, right? There was a rubber match last year. You end up with three games between the teams. The second matchup was as wacky an outcome as I've seen.
Two-pointer.
The first one, Darnold throws 4 picks or whatever it is. They almost beat him in a field goal type ball game down in L.A. The third one is just a spectacular football game. They got an edge with special teams, the big plays.
And that game could have been played in L.A. had the second one gone
Very
differently.
easily. So it's these two teams are on a razor's edge. I don't care who L.A. adds. This is going to be the matchup that decides the West, in my opinion. Spoiler alert: we're not giving our division winners out just yet, but. And I'm sorry, Niners fans, when we get there, I'll explain. But I just think, it's chalk in this division. And these teams are going to play twice to finish the season, twice in the last month of the season. Schedule makers knew, let's build as much drama as we can in this NFC West. We're going to play on Christmas Eve, I believe. This is a good football team, man. They really are. So we'll start with the offense. Kubiak did a great job last year. I think their offensive line was bad for so long. The tackles were a question mark. The interior guys are question marks. The whole thing, they got a rookie left guard starting out the season. They had to change out their center. Bradford, how are you going to hide him? They did a great job. They didn't just hide the group. The group became, a good group that played well. And, they got good play out of the Gray Zabel, and solid play out of the center, and good enough play out of the right guard. But the tackles played well, and I think part of that is what Clint Kubiak did there. Clint Kubiak did a great job of, I don't know what the opposite of magnifying shortcomings would be. It'd be hiding shortcomings, of hiding players' shortcomings, of the run game, protecting the quarterback. The run game being a few concepts that we're running out of a bunch of different looks. And we're going to be really proficient at all of them. If you can't set the edge, we're going to get on your edge. We're going to run outside zone. If you can't handle a double team, we're going to run duo. We're going to major in inside zone some weeks. Like, they legitimately were just really efficient at getting to their few concepts from a bunch of different looks and pre-snap with the motion, the whole thing. Like, they really did bog down second-level defenders. Whether you were adding to a run fit or you had your eyes on the quarterback and look, oh, shit, I've got a deep crosser running behind me. It's going to be JSN for 30 yards. Like, they created explosives in the passing game, play action, the whole thing. I mean, I thought Kubiak in New Orleans 2 years ago, and of course he had bad quarterback play, but at the beginning of the season, for a moment there, I'll never forget that first game against, I think it was like the Cowboys, where they hung 40 on him. And it was just like, I'm watching as a defensive lineman and I'm saying to myself, this scheme is a nightmare to play against if you're a pass rusher. It just slows you down. I think I counted maybe 5 to 8 true drop back pass opportunities that those guys had that day. I said, man, this guy Clint Kubiak's pretty good. Well, a year later, he is the catalyst in Seattle, and so replacing him is going to be a big deal. He's down in Las Vegas with the Raiders, but Brian Fleury enters the picture. The nice thing about it is they both come from the same tree, the Shanahan tree. He was in San Francisco with Darnold. And it's one thing to be a first-year coordinator, play caller, but it's another thing to have. And Mike McDaniel he's kind of like the mega mind in today's football game on the defensive side of the football. Like he has quickly ascended into being one of the elite coaches in the NFL, period, but definitely on the defensive side of the football. And when you hear him say, and I've heard the quotes out of camp, like say, I am learning things from Fleury. I'm like, I'm blown away. Like, I'm just sitting there and I'm listening to him go and I'm learning things about football. This isn't just coach speak. He really likes this guy. And then you kind of pair that with the quotes that you're hearing from the players, defensive players saying, hey, they're playing with a lot of tempo, not necessarily like, in tempo proper where they're hurrying up, but they're getting to the line fast and they're catching that defense in camp on their heels. And that's a very good defense, man. That defense makes a lot of people look stupid, and they're impressed with what they see so far. It is hard to overstate what Sam Darnold winning the Super Bowl last year does for him mentally. We had him on the podcast, and he's been through this. He's been through coordinator changes, team changes, scenery changes. This is continuity for him. It's the same team, same-ish scheme, different coordinator. He can handle that. The one thing, we had the conversation with him on the podcast about how the position's mental. And with everything he's been through, he talks to a sports psychiatrist or psychologist. I can't remember what the fuck the difference is. But, the mental part of the position, like, he's got to feel like he's playing with house money. Like, he's got to feel like, okay, that monkey is off my back, like, and then some. I was a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and I didn't even play well in the Super Bowl. Like, he didn't even play that well. Like, I'm sure there's a lot that he wants to do better this year. I mean, he played well last year. Don't get me wrong. He was fucking really good. But I know there are things that Sam Darnold thinks he can improve on, and that's scary to think about, that this offense could be better. They pay JSN. They got Kupp. Torrey Horton's going to be healthy. And I think the Rashid Shaheed thing, I mean, everybody knew it was big and it's a force multiplier because of special teams, but I'm about to talk about a guy in Ernest Jones that when he showed up on that Mike McDaniel defense, more than a year ago, he was the catalyst. Like, he might not be the best player on that defense, but he was an impactful player. He was kind of like, yeah, he was a catalyst. Like, everything changed when he showed up. And I think for Shaheed showing up last year, halfway through the year, things just turned up a notch for them. And, it just added an element to that offense that made them really hard to defend. The big plays, obviously, special teams, big plays. You got two good tight ends in Barner, Arroyo. You got Saubert, so you can go into the in vogue 13 personnel stuff. Again, the O-line solidified. There's probably one spot where I could see a draft pick or somebody else pushing a starter, and that would be Bradford. They drafted a guy out of Iowa, Bo Stevens. And, hey, on these previews, man, we haven't seen these rookies play a lot of football. So we're going to talk about them, but they're not really known commodities. And, yes, I should have said this from the outset. You're going to listen to this, and some of y'all will know more about your football team than us at this point in August. So there are going to be things that you're going to say, well, you didn't hear about, The local beat writer said he saw this rookie and he looked good in individual. I don't know all that shit. But what I am telling you is this is a good offense, and they have a lot of the same people back. And honestly, Darnold wasn't pressured that much last year. If the offensive line plays at a similar level, I think they could be right back where they were last year. The big question is, and we're going to see this theme a lot out west, there's a lot of new coordinators. What does Brian Fleury do that's a little bit different? You've got a play sheet. Kubiak could give him the play sheet, but calling plays is an art. It's an art form. It's not just a science. You can't just plug it into a computer. They don't have ChatGPT yet for the biggest call of the game. Like maybe at some point computers are calling football games, but they're not. There's a human element to calling a game, and there's a human element to communicating with your group and motivating your group day to day. But so far the review has been awesome.
And he's got a quarterback who's 31-7 in his last 38 games.
Yes.
Who has shed the seeing ghosts thing, has shed the out with mononucleosis thing, who has a wide receiver one who caught 1,800 yards worth of footballs last year, who doesn't seem to have that diva wide receiver gene to him.
That's right.
All throughout the team, it's a bunch of guys who just show up and go to work. And I like the cut of this jib on this Brian Fleury.
You do?
Yeah.
A bearded OC?
Uh-huh. With a shaved
How
head.
many bearded OCs do we have?
11.
Brian Daboll?
11.
You counted them already?
Yeah.
No shit.
Man, I don't know. But you believe me.
No, I mean, I don't believe you because I think it's rarer than that.
You think it's 6.
I think it's like over under, I'm setting at 4.
Okay.
Bearded offensive coordinators. You guys can work on that while I talk about the defense. So I talked about McDonald. McDonald is a bona fide dude. The pressure packages are all intentional. It's so impressive to see his group play. Like the D-line plays together. They play unselfish. They play a variety of coverages. They're going to live in a lot of too high. The run stunts are executed well. The games and pass rush are executed well. Like it's an orderly defense. To play as hard as they play and with as much emotion and physicality, like a lot of times those defenses can be a little bit out of control. This defense is perfectly under control. He's got these guys. I mean, when they play match zone, guys are running routes for the offenses. They're a smart group, and I think another sign of being a great defensive coordinator. What was that, Aaron Donald?
In for a workout
today. They are teasing. Schefter and all these people are like, man, I don't know if I'm going to get to break this when it happens, but I'll be damned if I'm not going to break something every day. Aaron Donald's seen at the mall today.
Aaron Donald's going to be every
creatine.
one of their timelines.
Yeah.
In some form or another.
This is kind of ominous. I'm talking about the Seahawks right here, and there's Aaron Donald all over the ticker. But McDonald's awesome. And I think one of the biggest compliments I can give a D coordinator is you get your role players to play big, and he did that last year. With guys like Drake Thomas, Okada, to beat this group, and Stafford can do it. You got to make tough throws. And you have to survive the onslaught of the rushers, man. It's a deep group. They've got a bunch of guys that are edges. They got a bunch of guys inside. Nwosu, Hall, who just got paid. Lawrence, Fowler outside, new addition. And then the guys inside, I really do think are the straw that stirs the drink here with Williams, who, late in his career is finally getting, I think, the recognition that he deserves as being an elite player, an all-pro type player. Byron Murphy, who's a stud inside. It's funny, I've seen a couple people post videos of him going near shoulder, near knee on double teams, which is the way my dad used to tell me to take on double teams. Like in the 80s, that was like a big technique where you'd be in a 3 technique. I'm the right 3 technique for people watching at home. I take on the guard. I've got a tackle on my outside shoulder. You want to hit your right knee, and you want to put that tackle on the outside of your right shoulder and then pop up. Because as you hit that near shoulder and near knee, the tackle's going to come off you and get to the linebacker. And by planting that knee in the ground, you're not giving any ground. if that makes sense. Did that make sense to you?
It just seems all terribly violent.
It is. It's really violent. But the funny thing is watching a Byron Murphy who's very young play like this from the minute he got in the league. Like, I don't know who coached him at the last level, but this dude knows football and he knows how to play the game. He has been an immediate impact guy for them and plays like a vet. He plays like a seasoned vet. But it's funny. It was like I've seen some of these videos like, they're like, man, look at this weird technique that Byron Murphy's doing. I'm like, man, this dude's a throwback. They've been doing near shoulder, near knee. So, it's not a new technique. I mentioned earlier the heartbeat of this defense, I think, is Ernest Jones. I just – you're not always right watching from the outside in, and then you talk to, like, people on a team, and you're like, who's the leader? Who's like, the dog in the room? Ernest Jones seems like he's that guy for them. And you look at the secondary. There's Witherspoon is such a stud. And opposite him, you got Josh Jobe, who pushed Reek Woolen basically out of the mix last year. So when you talk about like losing people, they lost Reek Woolen. They lost Kobe Bryant. Okay, Reek Woolen wasn't really a big factor for them at the end of the season. Jobe was playing well. And, Kobe Bryant went to the Bears. He actually already got hurt. But they do have experience with Okada at safety. So, you got Bud Clark. You drafted him in the second. Rodney Thomas. I trust Schneider. I trust John Schneider. So if I see, I'm going through this thing and I'm like, well, what are they going to do at safety? I don't know about the depth or whatever. Like, well, they drafted a safety in the second round. I think that guy's probably going to be good. Nolan, are you familiar with this kid at all? The Bud Clark kid?
Not so much, but he has been repping with the ones early on. They're trying to get him looks. He's definitely factored into the competition.
Well, there you go. And so, with the secondary, it's always hard. I mean, there's so many preseason. We're going to get talking about the Chiefs in a couple minutes, and like you never know who Spags is going to play where. There's just so many combinations that can happen in the secondary, but we do know who the corners are going to be. We know who at least one of the safeties is going to be, and we'll see on the other thing. He lost Boye Mafe, who got paid, man. And I like Mafe. Didn't have a ton of production last year. Kind of get lost in the mix. I think if he is a feature rusher like he will be for Cincinnati, he's going to be very productive. But they won't miss him, and I don't mean that like pejoratively. I just think they have enough horses. So the people that left, I think they can replace those guys. And when you have a unicorn on your defense like Nick Emanwari, who is a unicorn, dude, gives you a lot of matchup flexibility. And you think about like having a big body in there that you don't have. They don't come out of nickel. They don't come out of dime. They play in their sub packaging
93% of the time.
So you don't really have to budge. You play some of these teams that want to get a little heavy and intimidate you out of nickel. Like, I don't need to do that. And so they're a group that brings the fight to you, and they play with a lot of discipline. It's hard not to love this team, or at the very least respect the fuck out of this football team.
And they swap out Kenneth Walker for Jadarian Price, the running back out of Notre Dame at pick 32. If it does go wrong, relatively speaking, short of a major injury, how could it?
It could go wrong if Sam Darnold turns into a pumpkin because Kubiak is gone and the new guy can't sustain what I thought was above expectation O-line play last year. Like that to me offensively, I think Price sounds like a stud. I don't watch as much college football as everybody else. I wait till these people are grown-ups and I watch them on Sunday. We'll see. I think the Price kid is definitely going to be the bell cow out of the blocks, but you also have what's his face? Well, Charbonnet is hurt, so he's going to start the season hurt. Halani's the guy, and
Big George,
and Halani had some experience last year.
Yeah,
but like Kenneth Walker, who we went this long without mentioning, and I don't do that as a slight. And certainly we haven't forgot about Kenneth Walker, but if you just said halfway through the season, like, hey, you're going to be without Kenneth Walker, you'd have said, damn, that's not great, but you wouldn't have said, hey, we're losing the Super Bowl MVP. That hadn't happened yet. I think that what happened down the stretch, and he definitely maximized things the way he can press an edge, and he definitely unlocks all 53 yards for you offensively because he can stretch it sideline to sideline, and edge players really have to they're really tentative when he's He's bouncing the football. We saw that in the Super Bowl. But you can make do with the guys you have. This is not the end of the world losing Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker might make Kansas City a lot better, but he might not make Seattle a lot worse.
Yep.
So we'll see how that manifests. But this is still a very good football team. I think they did pretty well for a team. Sometimes the team wins the Super Bowl. A bunch of people, like I said, get in trouble. A bunch of people on social media. A bunch of people looking cocky as hell all offseason. You're losing guys. There's a mass exodus. You can't pay everybody. They really have done a good job of keeping the group together.
Specialists still there as well for a team that relied on special teams at times.
From tee shots to game-winning goals and buzzer-beating baskets, make every moment unforgettable with a Parlay Boost token. Activate your Parlay Boost token on any sports parlay, and you'll receive a bigger payout if your parlay wins. Here's how it works. Add a parlay wager from any game to your bet slip. Activate your Boost token. If your wager hits, you'll enjoy extra winnings in unrestricted bonus dollars. And if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code GREENLIGHT, and you'll get up to a $1,500 new player offer on your first wager. BetMGM, make it legendary.
Where do you want to start with the darlings of the offseason, the LA Rams?
Just give them the fucking Lombardi right now, right?
It's atypical for the winners of the offseason to win it all.
It is. I know. And that's why it's, we haven't picked Super Bowl winners or anything like that. That's basically throwing a dart anyways. I mean, but this team's going to be in the conversation. I mean, they are, I don't know if it's the Myles Garrett trade is a lot of it, but also the fact that they were like, damn, you know what? I think everything for them is, hey, how do we beat the Seahawks? That's like the moves they made in the offseason they have being better at football in mind, but like specifically, how do we beat the Seahawks? Well, what did they struggle to do in those matchups? Late in the game, they struggled to win rushes in crunch time. They really struggled in the secondary. And now guys like Emmanuel Forbes, who, were pieces that they had to rely on, are quality depth. Because they're like, all right, hey, you know what's on my Christmas list this week? A fucking all-pro corner. Let me go snag, Trent McDuffie. And I'll bring his friend Jalen Watson. Oh shit, now we got two corners. You know what? Seattle does a lot of this window dressing, play action pass stuff, the boots, the move in the pocket. Like, who's not just a great pass rusher, but also is just, he disrupts anything you could imagine doing offensively, throwing the football. It's Myles Garrett. Like, you can't play action him. With other guys, you can just kind of write it off and be like, well, this run action is going to buy that guy's eyes, or he's not going to get vertical. We're going to have 2.5 seconds to get the ball out. Myles Garrett's he's on a track. And if you're on that track, you're getting out of the way one way or another. He's going to pick a side and he's going to beat you. And I don't know if this makes sense to people at home, but like as a pass rusher, I said this earlier, playing the Seahawks, it can slow you down. Playing a Kubiak outfit can slow you down. That scheme is going to look a lot the same for them. A guy like Myles Garrett, like he plays with speed through things that slow other players down. Like he just does. He does not. His strides are so big. Like you're not going to slow the guy down. I've seen him plant people on bootlegs, play action pass, move the pocket, change the launch point. It doesn't fucking matter. He's going to be there. And that's another thing is like Jared Verse is a great rusher. Love Jared Verse. Fun to watch. Rolling ball of butcher knives. He's a fucking power rusher. But he's not going to be able to run down quarterbacks who are off the spot. Like Myles Garrett's going to take 3 steps and Sam Darnold's going to be like, shit, I hear him coming. And so, I really do think he's tailor-made to beat everybody, but he definitely helps in this matchup. So you go out and get the corners, you go out and get the defensive linemen, and they might not be done. Because I do think Aaron Donald's coming back. Like, come on. He's coming back, dude. You're not lifting all those weights and in the news to just be like, never mind.
You're not going to a workout today.
You're not going to you're not at the facility. Like, he's coming back. He just has a way that he wants to announce it. And I don't know anything, dude.
What did he invite you to go do? Was that last year?
He was launching his foundation.
Launching his foundation.
So it was me and William Hayes and a couple guys went out to LA. We had a great trip. But he looked fantastic, dude. He still looks like he could play. And so I'm excited. He's 35 years old. I think he's coming back. And I think when he comes back, imagine Aaron Donald, Byron Young, and Fisk lined up in a 40 look with Myles Garrett over here, all alone. Or vice versa, like the things they're going to be able to do to dictate. And you also talk about in run front, when you're trying to set up a game or a sim pressure or something, like, because Shula's not a big blitzer, but what they got for him now is, like, where the slide's coming. Where they're running the football. Landman's going to sit back there and be like, well, they're probably not going to run it at him. So I have a pretty good idea of where they are going to run the football. Like, it just dictates a lot for the offense, even pre-snap.
They come back after their bye Thanksgiving week 12. Would you rather, if you're Aaron or the Rams, would you rather Aaron start playing football week 1 or week 12?
If I'm Aaron or the Rams.
You're Aaron. Do you want to get going right now?
I want to go right now.
And if you're the Rams, do you want to hold them back, see how things are going?
We're trying to win the NFC West.
Are we 10-0?
Home field advantage, so we don't have to go up to Seattle, who's got the best home field advantage in the land. So, I'm all over the place right now talking about the Rams, like, and what they did this offseason and how it's good and everything. They didn't just do, a big trade for Myles Garrett. They think they got better. There's little ways they think they got better. But I will say, this team is beatable. Number one, Matt Stafford's 38 years old. Didn't Alaric Jackson have an issue this offseason, an off-the-field issue? That hasn't been rectified. I don't think they have exceptional tackle depth. They lost Rob Havenstein to retirement. He was a cornerstone for a long time. Alaric Jackson's he won't face a felony charge following his arrest, but I don't know if that story's over.
He could still potentially face discipline from the league, maybe starting the season suspended.
So, the number one thing is you got a 38-year-old quarterback who had a trailer in the parking lot not too long ago that was there to fix his back every day. And he every year we're like, oh, this has got to be it. But he looks great every year, until he doesn't. And so there's always the opportunity there's always the chance of him getting hurt, of a tackle getting hurt and being in trouble. Because when you're in flight, it's hard to find a tackle. It's not like you can trade for a tackle at the trade deadline. They're not sitting out there on the street, right? Waiting to be signed. So there's a universe where somebody gets hurt, or maybe the protection falls apart, or this guy just gets dinged and he's 38 years old, and you got to find out if your first round pick can play. I hope we don't have to find out if their first round pick can play this year.
There are roughly 4 or 5 offensive tackles sitting there at 13 or so where they picked.
That's right. And so you hope that, number one, you don't have to remind yourself of that. And number two, that, as a result, that Stafford doesn't get dinged at some point and you got to go to who you actually picked at 13. So there's that. And then, that's always the case with any quarterback, but this guy's older. And I know the D-line's ridiculous and the corners are really good, but the middle of the field for this defense, they're going to be beatable. I'm not saying they're not good players, but the linebackers are not special, and the safeties are not special. They're good, not great. Right? So if you've got a team that can protect the quarterback, who's got an elite offensive line, that type of thing, and you can attack the middle of the field, you've got a shot, And I think you're going to be able to run the ball on them some. Now, Poona Ford's a fantastic run-stopping player. Myles Garrett makes it really hard to run the football, but you got to commit to running the football against a group like this. You can't just go out there and throw the ball against this group. You have to be able to run the football. So that's a healthy wish list going into a game against the Rams. But if you can do all those things, you can beat them. And if you can get pressure on Matthew Stafford, you can get to him and you can rattle him. He's got 2 horses outside, right? And they got a million tight ends. It's a conveyor belt of large white guys that can catch and block. Like, seeing that catch that Parkinson made down at the pylon, I talked to Stafford about that one when he came on the show. Plug the show, go back and listen to the show. In Carolina in the playoffs, you're like, damn, there's nothing they can't do with these tight ends, man. The guys can block. You remember the game against Jacksonville where they made a 13-4 team look, frankly, totally out of sorts in London, and they barely had any of their receivers. They had to play like 15 tight ends, and they just lived in 13, and they were like, oh, you know what? This thing suits us pretty fucking well. So they've got the goods. They've got 2 running backs that are capable dudes. They've got a good offensive line. They have 2 absolute studs outside. They are probably a wide receiver injury away from having to really change the way they do things. Now, the mitigating factor is you have all those big bodies, you can get in big personnel, but you still would love to have those 2 horses. So, yeah, injuries can befall this team. They've also been kind of, and I keep forgetting the damn guy's name, Robinson, their number 3 receiver from a couple years ago. They have missed having that guy. So they're not a perfect team. This is not the best team I've ever seen. But sometimes when Les Snead moves with impunity, it's kind of like, wait, the other GMs can't do this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why doesn't my GM just do this shit? Like, they're just doing whatever they want. And that's kind of the way he and Howie Roseman operate, dude. And so, I think Les is great. And they also bring in Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury is going to be with him. And I think that's interesting for a couple reasons. Number one, they have thrown the ball, I found this out today, to their running backs less than anybody in the NFL in 2025. I think it was 11%. 11% of the targets through the air went to their running backs. That's league low. Cliff knows how to get the ball to the running backs in the passing game. I mean, when you think about Cliff Kingsbury, you think about RPOs. You think about tempo. That's another thing that could show up with the Rams is tempo. Don't let people sub. You think about
sunglasses.
Sunglasses for sure. You
High
think
and
about
tight.
that. High and tight. You think
Living
about
room.
Presumably a really good nightlife in LA for Cliff. Is he a bachelor still or no?
I think so.
But I think about the fact that, like, the way they play with personnel, you can catch somebody in a bad combo and stay on the field. Like if they're running tempo, they can really catch people in inopportune situation with their personnel. So I think they get a lot better.
No OC title, yeah. Assistant head coach, because he is bearded.
That's right.
We would have gone 1 for 1 on.
Yeah, you're right. So one down.
Well, he's just assistant head coach.
He's not an OC.
Not an OC.
But I'm talking about like the beard with hang time.
I understand.
So these are the 2. This is the cream of the crop in the NFC.
Did you see the report today that I assume was true, that the Rams are going to fly to Australia the day before their game against the Niners?
And that's a little too sports science-y for me.
And then fly back directly after the game?
There's a couple schools of thought there. And I actually, like, honestly, once I took, like, what I wanted out of the equation, like, I understood, like, you can't, as a player, you're not going to be able to acclimatize. You can't fucking acclimatize, period, because it's not a word. You're not going to be able to acclimate. You're not going to be able to acclimate. What the fuck was that, huh? Was that a stroke?
Acclimatize.
Did I just have a stroke?
Leave it in.
Yeah. So they're not going to be able to acclimate to a new time zone, especially one that drastically different, without like living there for like weeks.
Which is what San Francisco is doing, 1 full week.
Which is just wild, dude. A week in Australia is a long time. And so you think about what's going to happen to San Francisco after they get home. Like, I'm no sleep specialist, but we used to keep a sleep specialist on staff because we used to play international and, like, you know, consult the guy. And, you know, sometimes they'd tell you the best thing to do was to go to London on, like, Friday night or Saturday morning, and you're playing on Sunday. And some teams will stay all week. But all that does is just make you tired, right? So McVay's trying to get in and get out. And I know Reggie Scott and I know all the guys over there, and shout out to my boys in L.A. that are on the staff there. They know what they're doing, so I'll just have to defer. If I was a player, though, I'd be fucking pissed.
Sounds like there was a real scientific method applied here by Reggie Scott and that crew. This article says the Rams actually had people from their organization fly from L.A. to Melbourne and back, tracking when and how much they felt the effects of the jet lag this offseason.
That's
crazy.
Awful.
That sounds like old Tony Pastores and company and Kevin Demoff. They just wanted to go hang out in Melbourne.
But they're coming right back.
Yeah, but they're like, fuck. Well, I don't know. I was pretty hungover.
That was a marketing intern who showed up to work and had a plane ticket on his desk.
That's pretty funny, dude. To be just like a human guinea pig in a metal tube going to Australia, dude. Do I get to get out and you know, see the sights? Nah. Turn around and come home.
Ironically, these two respective sleep consultants are likely losing sleep over the outcome of this game.
Was that a joke?
It was a pithy observation that happened to be funny, yes.
Okay.
Add in the laughter afterwards.
Let's get to the Niners.
Niners!
How many fucking lives does this team have? I mean, damn it if I don't respect this team. If I don't respect the hell out of this team, respect the hell out of this coach, obviously you got to respect the GM. He's one of the hardest hitters in NFL history. But they just can't keep it together, and they're older, and there's a lot of bad vibes going on right now. And the win total's sitting there at, I think, 9.5 or something like that. Like, I'm just going to tell you right now, and I know not everybody listening is a gambler, but I'm probably going to fire on the under. And I just 12-5 last year, and everybody was hurt. And I think that's why a lot of people are lulled in this false sense of security that they'll just find a way to make things, you know. There's somebody. Look at this. This is unbelievable. Some of the edits of this substation.
That does look dangerous.
Is that Mordor?
That's the eye.
That's the eye.
Yeah. From Lord
there was one that said, like, for every injury, I'll make the substation bigger. Is that the actual size of the substation in that picture?
Yeah, I doubt it.
I don't think so.
There's no way.
I'm like, damn, dude, that thing's just ominous. Like a big fiery mountain behind it. Can you see it? I mean, do you see it while you're on the practice field? It's a pretty big substation. But the point is, man, it's just a bunch of bad news, a bunch of bad vibes. Like, the coach is in a car accident, and he's got a concussion. Like, it's bad enough that he's not coaching right now. That factors in the way you think, as evidenced by some of the things that you hear and see on this podcast. It is not easy getting hit in the head, and Shanny got hit in the head. And they've got a new defensive coordinator. We'll get to that. They're installing a whole new defense, man. Pearsall, his injury, the knee's still, it's bad, dude. Like, I don't know if we're going to ever see Pearsall. Mm-hmm. You know, it's getting to that. And so you're like, Debo, you still up, dude? And he's like, just give me a week to stretch, man. Like, that guy's getting up there, and his contract is really incentive-laden. You can tell we're not going to San Francisco camp because I wouldn't be saying all this if we were. Is this my fucking phone? You know what I hate? When coaches try to they take the opportunity to be hardos about media members' phones going off. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of like, is that old hat for you?
I agree with you.
Who's the guy the other day?
It's every week, man. Like,
was it? I think it was John Summerall of Florida, right?
If you were one of my players.
But then he quickly, I think, tried to say he was kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just lame. Anyways, I'm sorry about my phone, guys. Shout out to Tom Paquette, who just called me. So, Yeah, Deebo Samuel's coming back. Mike Evans is banged up already. You start the season with Kittle coming off an Achilles. I have no idea how he's moving so well right now, but like, it kind of feels like the lights are on at the bar for this team. You know what that feels like when the lights are on at the bar? It's time to get the fuck up out of here, man. Like, it is. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here, dude. And I'm not saying they can't do it. Because, again, like, I would love to be wrong. I would. It's just hard for me to imagine. They look duct taped right now, and they're older, and there's so much going on. It feels like they got the wobbles on the bike, dude. You know, and at that point you got to hit the handbrake, and you got to slow the fuck down. But it feels like they sped up this year, trying to cash in on a window, just because it feels unfair to lose 2 Super Bowls. One where Jimmy G overthrows the wide receiver, the other where Dre Greenlaw pops his Achilles in the first half. And otherwise, I think you win that game, just because it feels like the football gods are cruel to you, just because 28-3 didn't end well and you threw the ball in the last. I know it feels like you should have 3 rings already if you're Kyle Shanahan, but he doesn't. And I don't know what the San Francisco 49ers, if I were the Niners, I would never fire Kyle Shanahan. I would give him like a 20-year, I'd give him a hockey contract. I think he's that good of a football coach. You're just never not going to be good. But some years you got to stop trying so hard to be good. And that goes against everything in my body as a football player, but it's hard for me to imagine them being healthy this year and putting it all together in a division where there's 2 teams that are clearly better, in my opinion. Now, I wouldn't say this to Trent Williams' face, because Trent Williams is going to go out there and be a fucking Hall of Fame left tackle. And I'm not going to say this to George Kittle, because George Kittle's going to go out there when he's healthy and do the very best he can. He's going to block everybody's ass off. He's going to catch a bunch of balls. You know, I wouldn't say this to Deebo Samuel, who's a competitor. I wouldn't say, but as an analyst, it's hard to imagine them sticking the landing on this. I wouldn't say it to Christian McCaffrey, who I got a lot of respect for. You can add this to I got a lot of respect for that guy montage. But like, as much as you learn not to bet against him, he led the league in touches last year with 413. I call him the coal miner, because he's got the black lung, man. Like, he's just in there. They don't give a fuck about his working conditions, dude. Last year, they were one of the most efficient rushing teams in the NFL, but like, watching the games, it didn't feel that way. It felt like he was getting hit a lot. It felt like it was tough to earn yards for them. They didn't have a lot of explosives. 413 touches. The last time he went over 400 touches, 2019. In 2020, he played in 3 games. He's led the league in touches 3 times. Last year, 2019, you heard what happened in 2020. In 2023, that was the other time he led the league in touches. In 2024, he played 4 games. I don't know what happens this year. Here I am. Like, people are going to be pissed about this one. Niners fans are going to be mad. But you can't expect. I've stood on the table for y'all many years. I love your coach. I love the players on your team. But it's an old team. It is an older team. And so, you know, like, we went as far as being like, Nolan, and y'all are going to hate this. You're going to hate this. But Nolan was like, hey, things go south. Do you see CMC sent to a contender, like shipped to a contender? That's what people are talking about, like, as we break this thing down.
One particularly in mind for our guy Reed. About CMC and the Orange Crushes, Reed. What do you think?
Bring
about
him
that?
on home, dude.
Daddy's
home.
threads.
He needs to be.
I mean, you know, like, fuck, they could win 10 games. They could win 11 games. They could win 12 games. They could do what they did last year. But at what cost? Because I don't know that the ceiling's any higher. And I think the floor is a lot lower. And so, you know, I worry about the health of this offense. Now, the defense, I'm so excited that Fred Warner's back. I'm so excited that Nick Bosa's back. 2 of their best players. They missed him. They're bringing Dre Greenlaw back, who I thought played well when he was healthy last year. He definitely added an element to that defense. but he's older. But they're the main thing that concerns me is the scheme is a totally different deal from what they've been running. Like they've been running a variant of Saleh's scheme, cover 3, 4 down type scheme for a while, right? And now Raheem Morris is coming to town. They're going to be in some odd front. They're going to be in some 5 down. It's a challenging defense to pick up. Now, Jeff Ulbrich taught that defense to a bunch of young guys last year, and the defense in Atlanta was fucking spectacular at times, like considering who they had on the field. But the point is, if you watched Atlanta last year, boy, they got great safety play from the young safety Watts. They were young, and they were confusing to play, and they brought heat, and you didn't know where guys were coming from, and good quarterbacks struggled. That Rams team, they beat that Rams team late in the season. That was a game. That's where the Rams might have lost the Super Bowl. That game right there. There was a play at the end of that game. They had it wide open. Do you remember that in desperation time? They had a play drawn up wide open. They missed it. But the Atlanta Falcons, they terrorized the Bills. They terrorized a few really good teams last year. If they can get that kind of outcome from this group, great. But it's hard to make this switch on the fly. Like Odigizua, that's a guy they brought in who I really like, but he's like a hit and get it 3 technique. And then you find out that they're going to be in different fronts. So, I don't know. They're kind of modernizing the defense in a short window. They're doing it's more of a Fangio tree deal. But it's tough. And it's tough to imagine them taking this next step unless guys like Mykel Williams take a big step. You got West and Collins inside. I like the secondary. I think Stout's got a chance to be pretty good. The safeties are tough dudes, Mustafa and Brown. Lenore's a stud, but it's a lot of guys learning a new defense and 2 of your best players coming off injuries. Forgive me for casting so much doubt on this team.
And in the division they're in, or before you smash the under in September and October,
it's easy.
They have home Miami, home Arizona, home Washington.
Hold on, let me start that over.
Okay, we'll just do it once.
Okay, yeah.
LA Rams in Australia.
Loss.
Home Miami.
Win.
Home Arizona.
Close game, but a win.
Home Denver.
Loss.
At Seattle.
Loss.
Home Washington. Come on now. It's a win.
Look out for the rebound, dude. 2-1 in the next 3.
At Atlanta.
Okay.
Home Vegas. At Dallas. Home Minnesota. Through 10, they could be 6-4. But do they have that extra gear?
Well, yeah.
Can they stay healthy?
In December, you're at New York.
Loss.
Yeah, okay.
Rams,
Chargers, Chiefs, Eagles, and then at Arizona. I don't know about the win total, but I'm just telling you this. I worry about this team.
Yeah.
I don't dislike this team. I worry about this team.
I don't know if you mentioned Mr. Reliable, quarterback Brock Purdy.
Well, Brock Purdy is Brock Purdy.
Exactly.
Like Brock Purdy, I know what I'm going to get. I think Brock Purdy's a good player, man. I mean, that's not going out on a limb. I think people want me to rank him somewhere, but like we're not doing that right now. I think he's a fringe top 10 guy, and I think that's enough to win with in the NFL. Might be top 10. I don't know. It's a team game, and the team is older, and the team's got a lot of question marks and injuries. The coach is on fucking concussion protocol, basically. So, like, it's a crazy deal. The Cardinals.
Coached by Mike LaFleur. Spent the number 3 overall pick on Jeremiah Love.
And we're not going to spend much time here, but I will tell you, Cardinals fans, wherever you are, you're closer than you think. My son stubbed his toe the other day, and he was on the ground kind of sniffling, and my 3-year-old daughter walked up, and she said, "You're stronger than you think." It's a song she heard on YouTube. This is what I want to say. Like, you're closer than you think. You're closer than you think. There's a number of guys I want to say to on this team, you're closer than you think, but you got to be careful who you're saying it to, because this roster there's going to be a mass exodus of free agents after this season. This roster is going to look a lot different. They're going to have more cap space than anybody else in 2027. Let's just do the 2027 preview. No, I think they could fuck around and win some games. Like, this isn't going to be like playing the Dolphins this year. And again, not to pick on the Dolphins, but have you seen that wide receiver room? We were talking about wide receiver rooms.
Leaky Washington.
No, we like Leaky Washington, but outside of that, okay, Cardinals, they're closer than people think. They've been getting the shit beat out of them for drafting Love. Even if I think it's the wrong move, all the analytics nerds, I'm just happy they're mad. Is that wrong?
Sure, that's fine. But we don't know about Jeremiah Love. We do know about Tyler Algier and James Conner. Don't do those moves if you're going to do Jeremiah Love at 3.
Totally.
All right.
It feels random. It feels totally random. But they might end up with but we just saw it with Bijan Robinson. This guy could play through his first contract and make $75 million. Well, next time it'll be like $125 million. But and you'd be saying, if they can just get that quarterback, they're a year away. And that's the danger of having a really talented running back that you draft, especially when you have so many damn holes. But I think when this team gets an 11 personnel, it's going to be fun to watch. Okay. I don't know for the life of me why people are so damn down on Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, I have a feeling I know, but the guy had 900 yards as a rookie. If you didn't know, and I've watched the guy play. Yes, I know he's had the drops, and I know he's not the most sudden-looking cat, but he can play in this league, and he can play at a pretty high level, man. Is he going to be Calvin Johnson? No, that's pretty clear to me. But he's not a bum, dude. And, I'm sitting here thinking, what do you want the guy to do? I mean, it hasn't. What do you got?
I got a riddle.
You do?
All right, he's not going to be Calvin Johnson, but is he going to be Marvin Harrison?
No.
Well.
That's okay, too.
But he is.
That's okay, too.
That's the riddle of it all.
That's okay too. We don't need him to be Marvin Harrison. We need him to be a stud. We need him to be like a Pro Bowl kind of player. And I think he's got that in his body.
Michael Wilson's really good.
I think Michael Wilson's really good. I think Michael Wilson can do everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like Michael Wilson. He's willing to do everything. But my point to Cardinals fans is don't give up on this guy, Marvin Harrison Jr. Let him play in a stable situation for a fucking minute. Oh, that Justin Jefferson, he's a bum. Right? No, he's not. He's one of the best receivers in the fucking league. He's catching the ball from a disgruntled frat boy last year, dude. So, it's just not, it's not as easy as, 1, 2, 3. It's on some Jackson 5 shit here, dude. Uh-huh. It's the NFL. Context matters. This kid can play a little bit. Give him a second. If he looks bad this year,
blame the quarterback.
I'll blame the quarterback again. But no, I mean, especially if it's Carson Beck. But yeah, dude. McBride. I should have started with McBride. McBride, to me, I think the best tight end in the league is Brock Bowers. I think McBride's right there in that neighborhood. Okay, I almost feel bad not giving it to Kittle, but Kittle might not start the season. So let me just talk about a couple other guys. I think McBride is a weapon, and you're expecting a McVay type offense. I think the on the lighter personnel end of the spectrum, right, this year. I don't think they're going to be a heavy set group. The left side of the offensive line is good. I think Paris Johnson's a good player. We know Isaac Seumalo. Froholt's solid center. Right side's not great. But honestly, they're a quarterback away. They're a year and a quarterback away offensively, in my opinion.
What if it's Carson Beck?
Then they're a quarterback away.
Okay.
But maybe Carson Beck proves me wrong. Maybe I took way too much stock in the one drive I saw against
Indiana,
dude.
Yeah.
Where I was like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Maybe I don't like his face.
Well.
Okay. Cardinals fans are like, God, fuck, dude, we're getting this sideshow preview at the end of the. No, I'm telling you, I'm stroking you guys a little bit. I think you're a quarterback away. I think you're a year and a quarterback away on offense. Like, you know, if there's a lot you got to do defensively, personnel wise, which is maybe why Nick Rallis was retained. They had some bad injury luck last year. I don't think they're a talented group, but here's also why I think he might have been retained, and this is nothing personal against Nick Rallis. I think that there is some foresight to looking at the coaches on the hot seat in the NFL and saying, who are they? Well, there's 3 of them that coach on the defensive side of the football. One's name is Dan Quinn. I would say he's on the hot seat. I would say Todd Bowles is definitely on the hot seat. And I would say Aaron Glenn's on the hot seat. And all those guys are proven defensive coordinators in this league. And so instead of like taking a swing at somebody else, when you know you're playing on a 2027 timeline and signing some hotshot young coordinator that you really is not a known commodity, give your guy one more chance. Call it a lame duck year, call it whatever you want, but like he's got one more chance. If he coaches his ass off and the defense plays way above itself, you keep him. If not, one of those guys is going to be available. I'm not saying that's what they're thinking, but you know, it's kind of curious to be like, you know, I think I'll keep you, Nick Rallis. Now, I really like the secondary. I'll just say that you got some good pieces in the secondary. Garrett Williams off an Achilles. Will Johnson, Denzel Burke. You got a veteran stud in Budda Baker.
You don't know.
I know him. I know him now, dude. Oh, what a fucking fun story that was. And Wingard, who they brought in from Jacksonville. Josh Sweat, my boy, he wants out. He requested a trade. Go on and give it to him. Zaven Collins is a tweener. He's been a mainstay there. He's just a good, solid player. I think the stud on this defense is Walter Nolan. This guy, that Cowboys game last year, I was like, oh, they got something in this guy. I mean, he is going to play a long time, and hopefully for the Cardinals, he is a beast. So they got some pieces, man. Like, they have a couple pieces. They also have some players that I could see them moving this year. Like, you could trade Josh Sweat. I think about the Bears. I think about the Bengals possibly. You know, Nolan brought up the Pats earlier. We were talking about Budda Baker. I would definitely know Budda Baker if he played for the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So there are players there that you can flip if you're 1-7 this year around the deadline. You got to do what needs being done. I think this team next year is going to be fun to watch. I just wouldn't buy a bunch of the jerseys, you know? Don't get too used to these guys. It's going to look a little bit different. Next year, leading the league in cap space, there will be a lot of new faces.
Wear those rivalry unis, the Sandstorms. Pretty sweet. Likely 5-6 quarterbacks in the first round next year. Probably 3 in the top 5.
Yes.
Their guy will be there.
There's going to be a guy. If you pick the right guy, that's up to you. But there will be options.
They went back-to-back years in the first round after picking Kyler, Isaiah Simmons, and then Zaven Collins.
That's tough. They're two
very
tweeners.
Zaven Collins-like players.
They're two tweeners.
Yeah,
and that's two tweeners. That's what makes them. That's what probably they'll never pick a tweener again. Like if the guy can play 2 positions, the Cardinals aren't even going near him. I still think somebody could have made Isaiah Simmons a ball player.
I'll give you $25 American if you can tell me who Isaiah Simmons plays for.
Right now?
Uh-huh.
I'll tell you one thing while I buy time. One time we were at the bowl game, at the AFC Championship game, and he walked by me, who doesn't watch a lot of college football, and I was like, who the fuck is that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's Isaiah Simmons. That's who it is. Okay, what color is the team?
Blue team.
Oh, blue team? He's not on the Giants anymore.
All right.
The Lions.
Where was that ACC championship game played?
Charlotte.
He's a Carolina Panther.
Oh, he's a Carolina Panther. As of this offseason?
signed to the practice squad late last year and then re-signed this offseason.
No shit. I lost Isaiah Simmons.
I know.
That's what's so tricky about him.
He's
You
a-
don't know where he
he's
is.
a tweener. Ultimate tweener.
It's between teams sometimes. Okay. So, I don't know. But blue, I thought, Honolulu blue.
Mm-hmm.
So we're done with the NFC West. I'd like you to stick around for the AFC West now in hour number 2. Cane footwear has changed my life. I don't like tying my shoes. I don't like bending over to tie my shoes. I don't like wearing different pairs of shoes. I like to slip the same thing on every day. And like to just get out of bed and slide on a pair of canes. It changed my life. I wear them everywhere. They're great on the river. I wear them on the river all the time. They get the holes in them, so you get the water flow. You don't have to worry about packing a pair of socks. You can just, hey, I'm rocking my canes, man. And people always love them. People are like, what are those? At the beginning, they were like, what are those? But now they're like, those are canes, because canes have really taken off. There are other products in this category that are close, but they're not actually even close. They got the right idea, but the wrong execution. Canes are perfectly executed footwear, man. Like they got the support, they have the breathability, they have the ease of wearing, they have the ease of putting them on. They're waterproof, they're stylish. Everybody loves them. NFL athletes are wearing these shoes around training camp. Cane footwear is an active recovery footwear brand. The shoes are designed to give your feet, ankles, knees a break while continuing to go about your day, and they are perfect. I want more canes. I need to get more canes. They're replacing shoes for me. This division is going to be like the most fun thing of all time. Like this division maybe should be illegal. It's so fun.
Yeah. It's like two beers division, not a drunk division. This is going to be good.
This is going to be good. It's tipsy. So go through these prices on the division title.
The Kansas City Chiefs are the odds-on favorites to win the division at plus 180, followed closely by the Chargers, plus 185, followed closely by the Broncos, plus 200. Raiders rounding it out at plus 2,200.
Do you feel disrespected, Calbs?
Not at all. The Chiefs are X many times Super Bowl winners, and the Chargers are always scary. And I don't mind being number
right
3.
now.
What'd you say?
Feeling real cuckold right now.
Well,
cuck.
hey,
You
we're going to be all right.
No, I know. You got good attitude, bro. I don't know that all Broncos fans feel that way. I think some of them probably are like, what the fuck, man? Like, and I don't blame them.
Right.
Right? Like, part of me wants to put them in the Super Bowl, right? Because on one hand, they're at the doorsteps of the Super Bowl last year, and we watched that game, and I thought they were going to win the damn game. Before that blizzard started, even with a backup quarterback, and I will tell you, with all due respect to the Seahawks, they would have given those guys a game. I don't know I don't know how the game would have ended, but with a starting quarterback in Bo Nix, I think they give him a game. I don't know what happens.
It would have been closer than the last time the Seahawks played the Broncos.
No question. It's not a high bar.
Yeah.
But I got a lot of respect for this team. And on one hand, they were that close, and if it's not for the blizzard again, I thought they had control of that game. And on that same hand, you got a lot better. You made a move for Jalen Waddle, which is going to have a huge trickle down effect. Like in Miami, he was the X receiver, meaning he's on ball and you know where he's going to be. Tyreek Hill was the move guy. So they were dictating matchups with Tyreek Hill. Now it'll be the other way around. And Cortland Sutton can play X. He can be on ball. You get Jalen Waddle moving around, causing chaos pre-snap. A lot of eyeballs on him.
Intermediate.
You got it. You got a screen game is big. I harped on it last year. One of the things they really sucked at was blocking up the screens and also just executing them. And this guy adds an element there in the screen game. He's going to influence box counts. And you said at the intermediate level of the defense where Bo Nix seemed really reluctant to work. I know you probably have some numbers on that, Macon, but it was glaring at times the way they did not work the middle of the field. This guy is going to give you that element. I know you got him somewhere in your notes there.
Stapler would have helped.
Stapler probably would have helped. Come on, Bo Nix. You got a wide open receiver in the middle of the fucking note page.
Knicks's 100 attempts targeting the middle of the field produce a 1.1% DVOA, second lowest among all qualified starters. He only completed 58% of those throws. Specifically, Chris, all right,
Yeah.
to the intermediate level, he attempted 0 of his 46 passes there in the divisional round win. 0 of 46.
That's a wild deal.
Thrown to the middle of the field.
Completed 46?
0 of 46 attempted. He's throwing short, he's throwing long. Not throwing middle.
Yeah, a lot of
Wow.
deep comebacks and a lot of dump downs and that's kind of my issue is for a team that lived with the big play because I gave you the one hand, they're going back to the Super Bowl hand. Let me give you the other hand. On the other hand, on this hand, 11-2 in one-score games. That terrifies me, especially for a team that kind of has ascended quickly. 11-2, that's a record in one-score games. I'm not talking about I'm talking it's a record. Now, of course, you get the 17-game schedule, which shrinks the sample size of eligible seasons to draw from, but it is a record. And the most single-season victories decided by 8 or less points.
And they saw the Chiefs do the
Yes.
a year prior.
Yes. And the Chiefs were living by the sword, and then they died by the sword. But at least, and I'm not taking anything away from Denver, they are the Chiefs. That the average is going to be closer to them winning those games, right? So the thing that I'm not sure is sustainable, and yeah, Jalen Waddle could change it all, but I think they punted on something like 40% of their possessions last year, and I think they were 3 and out in lead up near the league lead. So, for a team that did not have a run game, right? That lived and died by the big play, that especially if you have an offensive line like them and pretty much everybody's back, right? They're such a dominant group that's so well thought of reputationally, but then not to be able to run the ball. I need the running back room to step up. I need the tight end room to step up. It's not just about Jalen Waddle, wash your hands of it, Waddle's here. And that's a big impactful trade. The Myles Garrett trade stole some thunder this offseason. This is a big one, and but it's not just about this trade. The Jonah Coleman kid from Washington, he's got to play well. He's got to catch the ball out of the backfield. I know Harvey's a good receiver, but they also need J.K. Dobbins to stay healthy. And to the point where we've wondered, are they going to trade for a running back at some point this offseason or this season? Is there going to be guys out there? We mentioned one of them in San Francisco, Kamara. He was a Sean Payton guy. Taysom Hill, by the way, just off topic, I saw a quote from Sean Payton about he's going to see him at the Hall of Fame. At first I misread the quote and I was like, easy, Sean. He's not going to the Hall of Fame. He was a nice player, but he's going to see him at the Hall of Fame and he's going to talk to him about coming back. So, this is definitely has the feel of a team that the window is wide open. Sean knows it. He bent over backwards giving up play calling duties. That to me is, for a guy that's got a big, reputationally a big ego, people, and he's not an asshole. I love Sean. Sean Payton came on the show.
Good storyteller.
And talked for 2 hours, dude. He gave us 2 hours. There are guys, Kool-Aid McKinstry gave me 15 minutes outside of a fucking barbecue joint. Dude, Sean Payton called and he was like, do you mind if I go 3 hours? Dude, I'm driving across Louisiana. Dude, I love Sean Payton.
Dictated the drive.
I fucking love Sean Payton. But, people out there are he's just, Sean Payton. He's Sean Payton. He's got a big ego. No, he doesn't. Maybe he does. But he gave up play calling. He was and I know he had to because otherwise he was going to lose Davis Webb. And Davis Webb and Bo Nix seem to work really well together. And this is what you have to do if you put your ego to the side and you say, hey, we've got a 2-year window here. In 2 years, this guy Davis Webb could be a head coach. I need to give up this thing I've been doing forever in this situation for our team. And so it feels to me like they're going to do everything they have to do to cash in on this window. And also I think with Davis Webb, it wasn't just about protecting, your asset, which was probably going out the door. It was also about supposedly speeding up operations. So you get the play in quicker. Bo Nix has more time at the line of scrimmage. And another thing is Sean Payton likened it to driving at night when it's raining, which is an admission that he's getting older. He's I don't really want to call plays if I don't have to,
I don't believe you.
You don't believe him.
I mean, close your eyes. In your head pictures, you see Sean Payton with like eyeglasses on the tip of his nose with a big old Waffle House play sheet.
Yeah.
Like that's him. That's him to his core. And when he introduced, I don't know if he introduced him, when he was talking about Davis Webb, he was like, it's still our offense.
Sure. He's going to meddle.
Changes.
It could be like a Sirianni situation where everybody's like, wait, isn't Nick still like it looks like Nick. But I do think Davis Webb's going to be calling the majority of the plays. Like I think he's going to be the play caller. I do believe him that like I can imagine being older and being like, damn, I got to worry about like game situation, what kind of weather's rolling in the AFC Championship game. I got to worry about like being a head coach. There's a million things going on the sideline. And just to be able to be a head coach and let this guy who probably would have been calling plays for 5 other teams had they had a crack at him, and who will probably be a head coach if you just judge him by the ascending nature of his name value and like the market from this offseason. I do believe him. I do believe him. I do believe that maybe Bo Nix has more to do with it than he's leading on.
I agree.
That Bo Nix like privately was like, hey, Sean, because one thing about Bo Nix is like he's a 30-year-old man, basically. I know he's not that old. But he's really mature, like for a young player. And they have a rapport, him and Sean, that's very honest. And I could see him being like, dude, I work really well with this guy. You need to fucking find a way to keep him in the building.
You can tell from the sideline videos that we've seen that Bo is, one, not afraid of Sean, and two, he's happy to talk to him and tell him what he needs.
Direct.
And I think that, the ceiling for this offensive scheme relationship could be Sean when they're dialing up, hey, the potential calls when they're making the, first 15. Hey, here's some plays that I think can work their way in, and Davis Webb taking that.
Yes.
I think I think the floor, I'm afraid, might be Mike Pettin and Kyle Shanahan in Cleveland in 2015 when Shanahan's trying to call plays
that.
And Mike Pettin's
and you
like,
remember the video?
Run the ball.
Yeah.
And Kyle's like, come on, man.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I think the ceiling, I don't think the floor is that low. Because I think Sean would take it back over.
Yeah.
If things weren't going well. And so I don't know how it works out, but I do think it feels a lot to me like continuity. And even with a new play caller, I feel like it feels like continuity while addressing some of the issues very directly. Okay, we're gonna go out and get Jalen Waddle. We're gonna draft 2 tight ends. We're gonna draft a running back. I want to see Ingram unlocked.
And that's what last year in the preseason when Davis Webb did call the game, I think it was against the Cardinals, Evan Ingram had his biggest run.
Well, let's go.
Catch.
I need to see Evan Ingram with the fucking ball in his hand, and I don't want it to be all checkdowns. I know that's not Macon's guy, but the Justin Jolly kid from NC State could see single-digit number tight end, like he's a receiver. They drafted 2 of them again, so I need more out of the tight end room. I need more out of the running back room. So on one hand, they were on the doorstep of the thing, even with a backup quarterback, and the defense is fantastic and the whole thing. But on the other hand, they won a lot of close games. What goes up must come down, and they weren't efficient offensively. Like they need a big jump from an efficiency standpoint to be back where they were. Is one player going to make that difference? No, it's got to be all these guys, and so. And we'll see. John Morton's also there helping out, who was in Detroit last year and got canned.
Yeah, he came back.
Calling plays in Detroit. So, it kind of feels like Sean's open-minded going into this season, and they're going to throw the kitchen sink at it.
Yep. And Marvin Mims, there's a lot of words out of camp that he's had a great camp. I think he's a prime candidate, maybe even more so than Courtland Sutton, to be unlocked. "Quote unquote."
Unlocking Mims.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be nice.
Don't get me excited. I'll draft him in the first round of fantasy or something.
Right.
I'm
nervous though because the 2 position groups, the 2 areas that were our biggest issues last year, we didn't address. Like we brought back J.K. Dobbins, but you mentioned he's still injured, and then on defense, we didn't address the linebacker room where we lost.
Where you lose Greenlaw, and you don't get much better there. But and that's the whole thing. Like they lost JFM. Right, you're talking about guys they had to replace. JFM's a big part of that defense, John Franklin Myers. And you could tell talking to guys like how much they liked him and playing with him. And, he's an energy guy. He's a disruptor. They lost Greenlaw, but largely offense and defense. The core of the team is the same at the very least. I do think, and I got a lot of respect for this defense. Like, it is an elite defense, and the guys are awesome. And I think, not to Greg Williams this thing, but the head of the snake is Pat Surtain. Like, I think back to how dominant that New England defense was. This defense has better players, and I'm talking about the New England defense in 18, the one that they shut down the Rams in the Super Bowl. They had a lockdown corner in Stephon Gilmore, and it allowed them to do so many things with man coverage and matchups and pressures. And, that the catalyst is that one guy can just erase your number one player, or you can put him on number two and double the number one guy. Or, and they also have a very good second corner in Riley Moss, who gets picked on a lot. We talk about this at length, but he's a good player. So there's a lot of great players on this defense. We're going to go down the line, but it's not just about having great players. I really think this is one of my favorite intangible defenses in the NFL. Like, the way these guys play, I think Alex Singleton is a perfect kind of – he embodies their spirit. The guy had testicular cancer, had surgery. They put a zipper on his nutsack, and he's playing in a game where he has like 15 tackles like a week later.
Single nut.
It's crazy. But they got a lot of guys who play, no pun intended, balls to the wall, man. Like, I love the way they play. I love the way they play, dude. They play free. They play with a lot of intensity. They also play in a complicated defense, not unlike the McDonald defense. And in the the different looks, you can see the pressure packages. You're gonna see they got a lot of man coverage. You got to have your man beaters, and I already talked about the corners. So it is a stressful day at the office when you play this group. The pocket has a ceiling on it. By that I mean, it ain't just Benito, but it's also Cooper. I think is one of the most underrated fucking players in the NFL when he's not eating iPhones. That dude is a beast. Those two guys set a ceiling on the pocket. They're going to win at 7 to 8 yards. Quarterbacks don't have the luxury of bailing. And I think a lot of people put Zach Allen a tier lower than Benito. Nonsense. They're both blue chip guys. Zach Allen is one of the best in the league. And we used to call him Baby J.J. Watt. And now he's grown Zach Allen, which is fucking pretty good, dude. He's grown up Zach Allen. He is one of the best in the league, and I think the last couple of years solidified that. He's as shifty, as crafty an interior rusher as there is in the game. I just love watching this front play, and it doesn't stop there. You got Ellis, Tillman, Roach, guys like that. Like, the depth is fantastic. We had Hufanga on, great dude, plays his ass off, lines up everywhere. McMillan made probably one of the best defensive plays in franchise history. And taking that ball away from Brandon Cooks was just – I haven't seen too many plays like that. And I've watched football a long time. It was incredible. And just the fact of holding off Jahdae Barron, who looks like a stud to me, but he has not given up his spot on the field. And, all these guys in the secondary, they're all involved in the blitz, man. They all have to be pass rushers at some point. Base 3-4, multiple and aggressive. And the one thing I'm really excited about is before Vance Joseph was one of the hottest names in football defensively, the Miami Dolphins came to town in 2023 maybe, and hung 70 points on Vance Joseph.
70-20.
And so my man's going to get 2 shots at Mike McDaniel this year. They're going to 2 shots at each other, and I cannot wait. I kind of wonder, fly on the wall, how that matchup's being circled, because after that game, it wasn't like there was outwardly any bad blood, but 70 points is 70 points, right? So I really look forward to those matchups. So they kept the group together. They have minus a few guys. They did what they had to keep Davis Webb. They feel like they got the formula. I got to see it to believe it. I said all that to say, hey, this is a good football team. They're a playoff team. But to get back where they were last year, they really have to evolve, especially offensively. Do they make a move for a running back? We talked about, Kamara. How about Algier? How about Connor? We'll see.
Schedule watch.
Yeah.
First 6 weeks, they have the 3 good NFC West teams.
Right.
Plus Chargers, Chiefs, Jags. I mean, that's
a tough one.
Could be 0-6.
It could be 0-6, especially with that quarterback. Cavs, look out!
Damn, dude. I know he's not high on your.
I know he's not Jackson Dart.
Yeah,
he's not. Jackson Dart durable.
Got that dub over him though.
Best ability is availability. That's not a win, Calbs.
Jackson Dart.
Giants
durable.
were up by
durable.
Giants were up by 24 points. Durable.
They need to put Jackson Dart in the red tent this year, if you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean. Make Giants great again. Make it's MAGGA.
Yeah, you got it. All right, so that's the defending AFC West champions, the Broncos. We're gonna take a minute to get the Chiefs here because I'm going off of how this division finished last year. Let's talk about the Chargers. Herbert. How do I say this? Herbert picked a really bad time to suck twice over the last 2 years, right?
The playoffs?
The playoffs. And, when you look back at that Jacksonville implosion, just as a team, I do think, and that was a coach ago, and you didn't have to be on that team. I know how this works. It is becoming a mental thing. I would have said before the last playoff game, and I don't know that the mentals caused them to lose that New England game. I think they just played like shit and had too many guys hurt, and they didn't finish in the red zone. But now it's going to follow them. So I'll just say this about this team. And I'm not saying they can't overcome it, but they are thinking about it. This is a playoff team. This is a good team. I'm bullish on this team. They're going to be in the playoffs. When they get there, we can regroup and talk about it again. Because really, nothing they do in the regular – it matters what they do in the regular season. You have to position yourself. But no amount of 13-4 is going to convince me for sure that they can get it done in the postseason until they get it done in the postseason. So, I mean, I think they're going to look great. I know that last year Herbert was hurt. I know that he had both his tackles down. I know they lost 2 running backs at different times. I know they didn't have the greatest wide receiving core. And these aren't excuses. It's just the reality. And I watched the sack tape. There's a little bit. Yeah, I did. The sack tape. What kind of sack tape are you watching? I went back and watched every quarterback sack he took last year, which was a lot. It took a while. There's a little bit of everything. I think at times Justin Herbert's he's not beyond reproach, man. There are little corners of his game that he can improve at. And more than that, that's why Mike McDaniel's coming in. But there were times where I thought he was a little gun shy, throwing into zone coverage, especially late in the down or against zone pressure, that sort of thing. But really, as the season went on, whether it was the running back getting blown up in protection, they weren't great in protection, or the tackles especially it was like a turnstile out there. I mean, there's just names I don't want to hear anymore out there at tackle for them. I don't want to hear – I know Storm Norton's not there anymore, but the ghost of Storm Norton's still there. I don't want to hear Bobby Hart in the lineup. I don't want to hear Deculus again. These guys are depth kind of guys. Keep the depth guys where the depth guys are supposed to be. Obviously, you got to stay healthy. But by the end of the year, the pocket, just as you watch the tape, the pocket got smaller and smaller. In the beginning, you're like, okay, I see. I don't know where his progression is, but I see where he could go with the football here. But by the end of the season, you're just like, I don't know what the fuck you want this guy to do. And I think it got to the point where even when he had a clean pocket, he was thinking about it. And I think it's natural. But I can tell you this much: if Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater are playing, that pocket's going to be a lot better. And I'll give you this for example, because you play in a division and in a conference where you have to handle pressure packages, so extra rushers. You got Kansas City, you got Denver, you got New England in your conference. You got to go through them. Supposedly Leonard in Buffalo likes to heat people up a little bit. I'm sure I'm forgetting some of the. Jacksonville, like there are these DCs. They're bringing heat.
Can't hold on to it.
Yeah, no. So you have to have answers, and you got to have man beaters because you play the Broncos twice a year. So versus 5 rushers, they gave up 115 pressures. That's the worst in the league. Second worst QB hit rate. Versus 6 rushers, they were 26 in pressures allowed. Versus 7 rushers, they were 28th in pressures allowed. They allowed 485 pressures last year on the season. Worst in the league. Miami allowed 229, second in the league. So enter Mike McDaniel. And I'm not saying that's the only reason he's there. There's a lot of reasons that I think this is a great fit. But, Tua would get the – and, I didn't like Tua, but he got the ball out. And it was a survival thing with him because once the rush gets on him, if you can get – there were years where Tua was getting the ball out 2-4, 2-5, 2-6. Herbert has been getting the ball out around 2-9, 2-8-5, like that type of thing. These fractions of time matter, and the passing concepts, they really do lend to the quarterback having easy and quick answers in the flats, in the middle of the field, like down the field, down the seams, like everywhere. Like Mike McDaniel can move windows with pre-snap motion and run action and all types of window dressing to where like you have a good read, dude, a real clear read. Because they did a lot of what they did in Miami. It was paint by numbers, dude. Like Tua was not an artist back there. It was, hey, if this isn't there, I'm going there. And if that's not there, like look out, But with Justin Herbert, you have the added element of play extension. So I think this is like really exciting. If you can get it, Roman's passing concepts were frustrating to watch, right? They had a bunch of man coverage thrown at them, and I think that's an indictment on the wide receiver room. They obviously had their tackle duo hurt, but I do think it goes beyond the pass game with what McDaniel can do for them. The run game is going to be huge in taking the pressure off Herbert. It's also going to be huge in moving the launch point for him, in moving second-level defenders and getting him the easy throws. You also have 2 of the biggest, baddest tackles in the league. Why would you not run outside zone? It really just, it's a perfect fit for them. And so, for those reasons, I am excited about Mike McDaniel and this offense. There's reasons that I have questions, and I'll get to those, but.
Is one of them the wide receiver room?
Wide receiver room doesn't worry me as much as the guards. Listen, the wide receiver room's not great, as evidenced by the way teams played them last year, but I also think there was a Keenan Allen complication thing. I think Ladd McConkey needs to get the ball a lot more. He's your short area quickness guy. I thought Quentin Johnson got a lot better. We'll let KLS and Trey Harris work it out, but I don't think they're going to have 3 wide receivers on the field all the time. I think that's why you've got Aronde Gatson, who's a stud at tight end. There's a wide receiver for you at tight end, right? Like he's a weapon. And then you've got David Njoku. That excites me. Okay, Hampton's going to be healthy. I think Keaton Mitchell is a fucking – I'm leaning in, dude, because I have no idea, and maybe somebody knows why Harbaugh didn't bring him to New York, why he didn't play more in Baltimore. Maybe the guy's an axe murderer, but when he's on the field, it's different. This team – they're going to major in big bodies, right? But they're also going to get faster. I think Keaton Mitchell makes them faster. And then they drafted a guy out of Mississippi State in the 4th round, Brennan Thompson, who is a burner, dude. And Mike McDaniel was all over him. So subtly they're trying to get faster. Here's my concern. Biotish, center, great. You got 2 great tackles. Cole Strange is
First rounder.
Is the right guard, right?
Redemption.
He's a Bill right guard. He's a Bill first rounder, right? That wasn't his strong suit. So he flamed out in New England. He started 14 games in Miami. So Mike McDaniel gave him the vote of confidence and brought him over, which is worth something. He knows the system. I think he's a good run blocker. Like he's actually a pretty athletic, good run blocker, but in pass pro, really stiff lower levers. Gets beat a lot, ducks his head, gets beat clean on counters. There was a Carolina game last year that I watched the first half because when you play Miami, sometimes you don't get a clean pass rush for a while. They get the ball out so quick. so much run action, off play action, all that stuff. I'm watching his PFF grade was like a 10 in pass pro. And I always I take those grades with a grain of salt. And I'm watching the first half. I'm like, and then they started to drop back and throw the ball. And I'll just say this, the floor is really low with him in pass pro. And it's not the only time I've seen him play, but I was refreshing how he looked last year. And that was probably his worst game, but that's what the floor looks like. And so, as your ball hand guard, you can survive there. There's supposedly 5 guys getting reps at left guard. Forgive me if I'm butchering this, but Owosika from Detroit came over in free agency. Pipkins, who's got experience there, and then Slaughter, who I think they'd like him to play. He was the Florida center. They spent a high pick on him, but they got to play him at guard. Penning, don't want to hear his name. Taylor, don't know anything about him. Jim said Owosika has been the most consistent, and he's in the lead. Pipkins is quote unquote a top 5 lineman for his team, which makes him a starter, I guess. But we'll see. Slaughter, he says, he's ahead of schedule, is in the mix, and Taylor, and this is as of Wednesday, August 5th at 6:30 p.m. He said Taylor's really asserted himself as a possible starting left guard. So. That's the big competition to watch in my eyes. I hear you on the wide receiver room. It's not great, but if everybody's healthy at the end of the season, I'm not going to be saying he's got no wide receivers. They have enough to be dangerous because I really do believe they got one of the best throwers of the football in the game, top 6, 7, and guess what? Executives, GMs agree with me. Not that they know what they're talking about, but, I mean, you can listen to Kevin from Dallas or a pool of anonymous GMs.
Listen to Mike Sando.
You listen to Mike Sando. What did Mike Sando think?
Mike Sando's annual list just came out. Justin Herbert, the 6th best quarterback, according to Mike Sando's annual quarterback tiers.
Who's below him that you might take umbrage with?
Who's below him? I'm a Herbert guy. I love Dak. I think Dak is great right there at 7.
I think Dak's 6 or 7.
Drake May's below him at 8.
I need more than 1 year, and the way the year finished, man.
Jared Goff's below him at 8. Jordan Love maybe could be higher at 10.
I could see Jared Goff taking umbrage. He's won in the playoffs, albeit he hasn't reached the big game, but I really think there wasn't anything Jared Goff could have done, if my memory serves me correctly, in San Francisco. They just couldn't quite. They went for it on a bunch of 4th downs. The ball bounced the other way.
Yeah, no. I think the question is Herbert higher than Lamar?
I mean, for fuck's sake, he's played in a Super Bowl. Jared Goff. Is Herbert higher than Lamar? No.
Joe Burrow? No. I think he's properly ranked by. We should probably say who's ranking these people.
Who's ranking them?
It's 50 executives and coaches.
Yeah, it's a lot of motherfuckers that watch a lot of football, man. It ain't, and so fans get so down on these quarterbacks because, they just don't understand that there's a lot more moving parts to just who's throwing the football. And there have been times where Justin Herbert has shit down his leg in the playoffs. And I don't mean out of fear. I just mean he didn't perform well. The red zone, they have to get a lot better in the red zone this year offensively. They were not good in the red zone last year. And they weren't good in the red zone in the playoffs. And so I'm going to go ahead and bet the under in the Atlanta-Miami Marlins game, and we're going to continue this little
I think it's 1-800-GAMBLER.
No, it's MLB app is what it is, dude. I got the MLB app now.
Nice.
So yeah, McDaniel's got a nice car, man. It's a big car. They're gonna run big personnel. I talked about Njoku. I talked about Gadsden, but it's also Charlie Kolar, dude. Don't forget about Charlie Kolar, dude. He's going to move some people in the run game. They got 2 fullbacks on the roster. It's going to be Ingold. He's going to get used. They got a big quarterback, not to mention a much better quarterback than he had in Miami. Remember when that was a debate? Remember when? McDaniel has been dreaming about this. He's been coveting thy neighbor's wife, if you know what I mean. He's been coveting thy neighbor's quarterback. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, now he can sin away because you got him.
Yeah.
He can do the extra stuff. He can do the off script. He can do the improv.
We're talking pies.
Nah.
What's the extra stuff?
The extra stuff is play extension.
Got it.
The deep ball. You know, once I called Josh Allen, I think, or the Buffalo Bills offense, I think it was a Ferrari with mud tires. I think after they ran the ball something like 40 times against the Dallas Cowboys, just 1 week, just because they were like, we don't need to throw the ball this game. We're going to give it to Josh 17 times. He's going to have 17 attempts. We're going to beat the shit out of the Cowboys. Ferrari with mud tires. That's what this team can be. I'm bullish on this offense. I really am. So, and I also think it's cool that Harbaugh's this tough guy, right? And Greg Roman, he was too loyal. He kept Greg Roman around too long. And when I remember playing Greg Roman in the NFC West, you'd think playing those offenses, I didn't know what he looked like. He's just a guy named Greg Roman. Mm-hmm. I thought he was like 7 feet tall and he's like just a fucking beast, dude. But he's this little guy, dude. He doesn't look like the way his offense played in San Francisco, but he had the players in San Francisco. He had the studs. They were a powerful football team, and they were in a powerful gap scheme offense, and they had Vernon Davis and Delaney Walker and fucking Anthony Davis and Joe Staley, and I'll name the whole fucking offense if you want. But, you had Alex Boone and you had Mike Iupati, and sometimes you see that big fucking defensive lineman at fullback. But the point was they had an identity, and that identity just didn't carry over. I don't know if the scheme got outdated. The passing concepts weren't great. It was just frustrating to watch their offense. Now you get the meathead football culture and the intellectual guy in McDaniel. And the intellectual guy doesn't work as well sometimes as a head coach. But the best asset in football is a distressed asset that just got fired as a head coach, an offensive head coach. Those guys almost always pan out at the next stop, or both sides of the ball, where it's like, well, there's a reason they're disgraced head coaches, because they got to be a head coach because they were doing something good. They were cooking with gas, man.
Yep.
And I think McDaniel's a hell of a football coach, and I cannot wait to see him out of the handcuffs, so to speak. It'll be a good miss. Defensively, Chris O'Leary, you're up, buddy. Can you be Jesse Minter? Can you be Jesse Minter's proxy? There's a lot of furniture in this house. It's a lot of nice furniture. Don't fuck it up, man. It's not maybe the best defense of all time, but it's a pretty good defense.
Dinettes.
There's living room. There's more to being a coordinator than just scheme. I talked about that offensively. Defensively is the same thing, and the motivation thing is huge. And I don't know if I'm conflating this with some other D coordinator, but I think I read that one of Jesse Minter's pillars, like 4 pillars of defense, is obnoxious communication. And I love that. I fucking love that. As a defensive player, nothing needs to be left unsaid. In meeting rooms, the what ifs, the if we get this look, what do we do? There's so many coaches that hide behind, just not being asked the question. Because if shit hits the fan, they really don't know the answer anyways. Obnoxiously communicate on the field with each other, as teammates, the whole thing. We'll see if the communications is good under Chris O'Leary. We'll see if they can communicate the scheme as well, see if he calls the plays as well. They disguise a lot, but ultimately what they're doing is they're getting after you with 4. And as a D lineman, I love that. You love that as a rusher. I remember being in St. Louis, they just kept picking D linemen, dude. And at first you're like, damn it, is my job in jeopardy? They're like, no, you're all going to play. And you're all going to play together. There's going to be a NASCAR package. This was cutting edge shit back in the day, the NASCAR package. Now it's mainstream. And Mesidor, who's, and 26 years old, he's ready to play. And he's versatile. He can play inside. He can play outside. He can move around. Not to say he's a big body, but he is versatile. You add him to a room with Thule, with Mack, with Bud Dupree, who's a really good vet. You still got those guys inside, Tart, and
now Tomlinson.
And Tomlinson. The one thing I think they're missing is a dynamic rusher inside. They got good players inside, but you'd love to be able to rush the passer on first and second down. I like their front. I love their linebackers. I think Henley's one of the most underrated guys in the league. I think Perryman plays football like he's mad at the other team, like they did something personal to him. And I love the way he plays, man. I think he's, again, one of the most underrated players in the league. Just an absolute, he's 100% canine. He's a dog, bro. And when he's not decapitating people, he's available because he gets suspended. They suspend this dude for hitting people too hard. It's like he's got a little perfect in him. You know what I'm saying? And so when he's on the field, and when Henley's on the field, it's pretty fun to watch. And you got Derwin James, who he plays safety, but they'll move him around. He'll play some nickel. He'll be in the box. He'll be all over the place. And the one hinge for me is, they drafted a couple corners late last year. They got great play out of them. Cam Hart and Tarheeb Still. Those two guys played really well for late-round picks. Is Chris O'Leary going to be the same teacher of scheme, the same kind of cornerback coach that Minter was? Because he got the most out of those guys. I think this is a really solid secondary. Solid secondary. Dante Jackson's a beast. Molden's going to play safety. But yeah, my two concerns, interior rush and the corners not playing to the level they did last year. And then the other thing is this is one of the oldest defenses in the league. Even the rookie's old. So all that, and then you pull up the schedule. I think the schedule is really tough. But, Harbaugh's got a great track record. Year 2, they're playing the Super Bowl in San Francisco. Year 3, they're in the NFC Championship game. They had to beat Rodgers and Ryan to advance to get there. I'm not saying that was easy, but you got to beat 4 of the 5 best throwers of the football on the planet to get there in the AFC right now. And so it's not going to be easy in the playoffs. That's where they got to exercise the demons. Chargers are just this. They're like a hot babe that's toxic, or it maybe has baggage. Because this organization has baggage. At this point, it's like chargering's a verb, right? But the hot babe just keeps pulling you in, dude. And every time, without fail, some old shit comes up. She keeps bringing up old shit. Or she's got baggage. You got to check the baggage at the door this year, babe. Check the baggage at the door. Can the Chargers check the baggage at the door? You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying.
Hey, look in the mirror and say, I'm hot as fuck.
Mm-hmm. Oh, now we're the babe?
I'm a babe.
Okay, we're the babe. Right.
I'm the Chargers.
Right.
Look in the mirror.
Checking the baggage.
All that old shit doesn't matter, dude. It's old shit.
No carry-ons allowed.
Don't treat people like shit because something happened to you in the past.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Not a great track record for the hot babe with baggage checking the baggage.
I know. I know that's the problem. But I'm still falling for it. Not a great track record for guys not falling for it.
If you haven't
guys like me
noticed already, the AFC West and NFC West play each other this year, but they do start home Arizona, home Vegas.
Yep.
So that should be a nice
soft landing spot.
Nice. More of a takeoff, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, takeoff. I got you. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. You know what I mean. Okay, so we're getting to the Chiefs, and it's hot in here. I don't know if it's talking about the Chargers' big cans or like the Chargers have big cans. If the Chargers were, just big cans.
Maybe one of them preemptive double mastectomies. Well, that can be smart to reduce the risk of cancer.
It's unbelievable, dude.
Check the baggage.
Cut them titties off. They're too big, dude. That's the problem with the Chargers. They're too big. One thing I've learned since retiring has been it's hard to keep your weight on. Like it just, we work so hard as NFL players. I was training, hours a day, just to keep my strength up, just to keep my muscle mass up, to stay healthy. I don't have that kind of time anymore. I got 3 kids. I got a couple jobs. I just don't have that kind of time anymore. And my body can't take the beating that it used to in the weight room. So, to get the same amount out of workouts I used to do at 2x intensity, you need help. And for me, Create gummies have been that little boost. I started taking Create, and I really never took creatine when I played. After I played, I started taking it, and the easy use, obviously, just being able to pop them in, not have to mix powder in a shaker, that sort of thing, which, as y'all know, can be a pain. Oh, where's my shaker? I got no clean shakers. Oh no, I got nothing to mix it with. I gotta pack shakers on the road when I travel. No, I'm not gonna do that. I got my gummies, and I have noticed a big difference in the way I recover, the way I keep my muscle mass on. I feel like at this point, and maybe this is just something I made up in my head, but I feel like I look as good as I looked when I played sometimes. Like I'm almost 260 pounds. That was like almost my playing weight, and I'm leaner, and certainly I don't think I could take on a pulling guard, but I feel good. Like nobody's looking at me at the beach and being like, what the happened to that guy? Nah, not with Create gummies. They're like, oh, that guy still trains. So definitely helps like keep the muscle mass on, keeps you looking, feeling good, and as important as anything is the cognitive benefits. Recovery takes longer in my 40s than it used to, for sure, especially in the summer when I'm depleted, dehydrated, the whole thing. I'm slamming water and I'm eating Create gummies. And so, you think about training camp. I kind of wish training camp time, I kind of wish I was taking Create in training camp back when I played, but it helps me now doing all the things I'm doing in retirement. So better late than never. I am loving creatine and I'm loving Create gummies. The Chiefs, man, they got a little something mysterious going on. The Chiefs got something mysterious going on this year. Well, I'll get to that. All right, the offense. Because this is, listen, they threw the kitchen sink at the defense. The defense has to be better, but the offense needs to hold up their end of the bargain for the Chiefs. 47 sacks they gave up last year, right? That sounds like a lot. It is a lot. They gave up 36 the year before. The previous 5 years, like when they were humming, they were giving up on average like 23, 24 sacks a year. Like I didn't do the math, but they were all in the 20s, which is really good. And so if you look at this thing on paper and you see the fact that, Mahomes is coming off an ACL, you're sitting there and you're like, is this turning into like a late career Andrew Luck situation? Like if you don't really know what's going on and it sounds like you got one of the worst O-lines in the league. But just to prove a point here, time to pressure last year was 2.73, which is not bad. Time to pressure is helpful because it contextualizes all the pressure, right? If time to pressure is 2.3, like we got a problem up front. Like that's like said hut. Oh fuck. Like, but 2.73, not bad. So it's not all on the offensive line, although there's things they need to clean up for sure. So is it Mahomes? I guess you're saying, Chris, that it's Mahomes. So Mahomes must be to blame because he hurt his ACL scrambling, I think, right? He hurt his ACL rolling right. It's never enough. He's buying time. He's, you guys don't remember that when he got hurt?
Yeah, running more than at any other point in his career.
Right. So, that's also not what I'm implying here. I think, the point I'm trying to make is, a great offense is a well-oiled machine. And, at their best, they've been a well-oiled machine, but they were not last year. And part of it was the wide receiver room wasn't dynamic at all, dude. This wide receiver room is not dynamic. And, I think that affects the fractions of time. It drives the time to throw up, which puts the offensive line under a hot lamp, which puts Mahomes in a bad spot. And when you add to the fact that their run game was anemic. I've been asking for them to pivot to power football for the better part of 730 days or so. Do the math, that's 2 years.
2 years.
That's why you go out and sign Kenneth Walker. I think Kenneth Walker is going to pay dividends for them. I think he's going to take pressure off the passing game, get the play action game going. They haven't even really been able to use play action because people are like, I don't believe you. You know, and Kenneth Walker, you cannot understate. I know I beat this horse to death, which I know you can't say anymore. Around Super Bowl time, like a running back that can bounce the ball and can get on your edge is just like, there's a reason why they pay tackles and ends and corners and wide receivers. Like the edges of the offensive core and the defensive core are very valuable areas of the field. And if your edge defenders, your overhang defenders, if your defensive ends, if people that are out there are worried about the running back bouncing, it just softens things up. And it also allows you to use the whole field horizontally. It allows you to get your quarterback into some less stressful drop targets, believable drop targets. It slows rushers down, dude. Like, it really does slow a rusher down when you've got a running back that's gonna bounce the ball and an offense that can access those areas of the field. Kenneth Walker's that guy, dude. So I think it's going to take a lot of pressure off the passing game. I think it's going to get the play action going. And I heard that they're under center more in camp this year. 80%. Last year they were in gun. They're under center more this year. So I say all that to say I think there's a lot of yelling going on in training camp in Kansas City. We'll find out because I think we're going to Kansas City training camp. I think there's a lot of screaming. If you were in that building, like in the front lobby, I bet you still hear Eric Bieniemy talking about cutting down on the fucking penalties. You know, there were some drive killers that the offensive line had last year. The penalties up front were bad. I think there's a lot of screaming about pounding the football, about doing things right, details, attention to details. Again, if you look at the Wikipedia page on the 2025 season, you think they had awful players up front. They did not. They had two blue chip guys, Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey, still got those guys. They have a left tackle that can be dominant in Josh Simmons. He was not available when they needed him, and I'm not shaming him. It was an off-the-field thing. I still don't know what happened, but he just wasn't available, and he was one of their big swing guys, and it swung the other way. So not to mention Sua Mataia, he improved. So, like, they're getting better and better. The big question mark is right tackle for them, you know? Dwayne Bowe ain't walking through that door, dude. Like, they're not just going to find another solid 1,000-yard receiver in the trash can, dude. Like, you're going to work with who they have. And we'll get to that in a second. It really is, to me, about the offensive line stabilizing this group. They got a UDFA who's been taking reps with the ones at right tackle, even though they brought in Jalen Moore from San Francisco. It reads to me like an absolutely no bullshit training camp in Kansas City where I don't care who you are, you ain't safe. If your number ain't 15, you ain't safe, right? If you ain't Creed Humphrey or Trey Smith, like, if somebody's better than you, they're going to play. And I don't know if that's exactly what's happening at right tackle, but I would imagine Andy's going to do whatever he has to. We just signed this guy. It doesn't fucking matter. This guy's off, undrafted free agent. If he's better, we're going to play him. And, we said last year, Josh Simmons, huge swing player. I said that at the beginning of the year when I saw him play. I said, if this guy can play, they're going to be good. And he couldn't play at the end of the season. And, Rashee Rice, wildly important to them, not just in the passing game. Their screen game is a big part of their run game. He's their screen guy. He was not available. And he was in jail over the summer rehabbing a surgery. It was the most less than ideal fucking situation that I've heard of. One of your most important players is in jail. He just got a surgery. He's rehabbing in jail. The guy's picking up marbles with his toes in the jail cell. I don't know if that's what happened, but that's like how you rehab. It's just...
I don't think you can get marbles.
Yeah, you got to put it in your commissary, dude. So it's a complicated deal. I said this, Rashee Rice, big part of the run game as well. And these are pieces that they were missing. And a lot of this identity shift is to protect Mahomes, right? And that's really obvious on the surface, but it's not just about, hey, we got to protect him with our offensive line. It's like we got to protect him with a run game. We have to protect him with, the route concepts. We have to protect him with the screen game. We have to protect him. Mahomes has to protect himself. I think that's one of the biggest things is like, Bieniemy comes over, you get the Ben Johnson influence. They're under center more. The guy tore his ACL extending a play. Like, let's pump the brakes a little bit, Patrick. Now we're 30 years old or so. How old is he?
About to be 31 September.
31 years old. Like, this is the second half of the career. And so, watching them last year, I felt like a lot of it was like 2 yards in a cloud of dust, a perimeter screen, or Mahomes making something off script happen. Mahomes is great. He's the best quarterback. He's not the greatest quarterback that I've ever seen. He's the best quarterback I've ever seen. From a standpoint of like when Mahomes is at his fucking peak, the things he could do, nobody else could do. But you can't expect him to just put the cape on his back and bail you out and that be your offense. Like that's not Andy Reid. I mean, Andy Reid's got an affinity for throwing the fuck out of the football, but that can't be all Andy Reid has. As Patrick Mahomes turns 31. Will Blackman put it interestingly. Our friend Will Blackman put it interestingly. These wide receivers are all like punt returners. They have like a collection of punt returners.
Yeah.
They got Rice, who's kind of a tweener body type. Worthy, who obviously they're waiting to really come on. Super athletic, explosive. Thornton, who Nolan put in the notes. This is a bar here. Whose route tree has no branches. The tight ends, pretty good. Kelsey, Gray, and Wiley, but you wish you had a true point man. So, I mean, it's not a perfect setup outside, but if you run the football, if you protect the passer, he's a pretty fucking good quarterback. And, a little story time. My brother Howie, my youngest brother, and he was in high school, he dated a chick named Brittany. I hope she's well. I trust she's well. Brittany had a big crush on Tom Brady. So Howie hated Tom Brady. Used to walk around and say he's a fucking system quarterback. This whole thing, dude. And I've heard this fable before. I've heard this myth before, but I'm not saying it's true, but Brady did play in a system. There was a system. They were running slants, flats, option routes. They were getting the ball out in 2.5 seconds. Like, they played with timing. Every quarterback is playing in a system. It's your choice as a coordinator whether or not you want to make the system the player or you want to give the player a system to accentuate what he does or to keep him inside the guardrails or to ensure that he doesn't get hurt or to ensure there's not too much on his plate. Every player in the NFL is playing in a system. We're all system guys. There's a couple guys that are not system guys, but even the best quarterbacks have to play. Tom Brady played in a system. And that system would have never yielded a 6-11 record. Now, I know Patrick Mahomes got hurt last year, but I never saw New England's offense look like that. That out of whack, that boomer bust, that fucking Tom Brady, that system worked pretty well. And I think in the second half of Mahomes' career, one of the questions you guys wanted to know is like, will we ever see the explosive Chiefs again? I don't know about you, but I thought Brady's offenses were pretty explosive. The ones even without Randy Moss, like when you watched, it was a different kind of explosive. It was like they're just chunking us. The run game is the run game's intentional. It's a well-called football game. You get the quick game. You got people that like defensive line. We went to play them in London. I was like, do we even get a chance to rush these guys? Check downs to the back that go for 15 yards. Like, that's explosiveness as well. Like, it doesn't need to be a bomb to Tyreek Hill. I'm not saying that Worthy can't catch a go ball for 60 yards, and it would be great if he turned into that guy. But explosive to me is just like, damn, 2 or 3 plays at a time, they are chunking us, dude. And we can't get off the field. So, yeah, and I think you're going to see an explosively efficient offense if they do this thing the right way. And the reason I brought up Tom Brady is because, like, I do want to see Mahomes be a little bit more of a system quarterback, quote unquote. It worked well for Brady. They never missed the playoffs when he was healthy. And I know Mahomes got hurt last year, but they were on their way to Cancun well before he got hurt. And here's an interesting thing about last year. Again, you think that team sucked? I think they were 8th in DVOA. when Mahomes got hurt. They were a top 10 team in DVOA, and yet they couldn't protect the passer, rush the quarterback, stop the run the football, or win close games. And, of course, DVOA doesn't account for winning close games, but, that's the point I'm making is, like, they were so fucking bad by their standards last year. And it's still, you'd watch them every Sunday and be like, they're going to win this game, right? Like, they're a good football team. I think they're better this year, and I think they've done a lot of stuff to kind of fill the cracks, right? Like, I think Justin Fields is going to help them. Justin Fields is a gadget guy. He's a short yardage guy. He's the got-to-have-it situations. The most important situations in football are the short yardage, goal line, that sort of thing. Like, they don't even sneak Mahomes. Now they can just put fucking Justin Fields in there. I think he's got, Taysom Hill made a career out of shit like that Justin Fields could do. He's a scary guy with the ball in his hands. I can't wait to see. I'll be disappointed in Andy Reid if Justin Fields doesn't get a lot of touches this year with, like carrying the football in space. I just want to see it. Brashard Smith catching the football out of the backfield, like people like that are going to help this team. And I know Brashard was there last year, but they're little role players. The Cyrus Allen kid has made some noise in camp. You might have a bona fide guy. I don't think anybody knew Rashee Rice was going to be a stud before he became a stud for them. He's been hugely important to them. Cyrus Allen looks good in camp. Now it's only week 1. So that's the offense for me. Like, do I sound hopeful? I think the Chiefs are going to be back a little bit.
Yeah.
You don't think the Chiefs are going to be back? I
don't know. I think it's a total unknown.
If Mahomes is healthy.
Right. And how different what's Bieniemy's influence?
Bieniemy is the guy that makes sure all the details that they've been fucking up are not going uncovered. Yeah. That's everything I always hear about him is you don't want to make a mistake around him. And some guys can't handle it. Some teams can't handle being talked to the way he talks to people, the way he coaches people. And that's maybe part of the reason why he didn't end up being a head coach. The interpersonal shit. But with that group, they're used to this shit. They've played in Super Bowls. They've won Super Bowls. They've been in this thing together. You know how they were calling it the last dance for this team? And then Kelsey came back. I feel like this is like an encore for them. This offense, especially the intensity, is going to be incredible this year. I just believe that. I don't know if it's true. We'll see. Defense, they threw a lot at this side of the ball. Bunch of early picks. There were times last year where they didn't even know who was going to play D tackle for them. Like, the depth for them was really razor thin. I think it was last year. I'm conflating the last couple years with them, but there were times where, like, you were like, wait, they need a third D tackle. They have to go sign somebody. Now you got Tonga. You bring him in free agency. I love that. The Peter Woods thing, he's a distressed asset. Everybody at Clemson got knocked down a rung after the way they played as a team last fall. And I don't watch college football, but there were a bunch of guys that would have got picked a lot higher. I'll give you an example. That kid in Buffalo, TJ Parker. Yeah. I think he's going to be a good football player. I think there's a lot of value in these guys, and I think Peter Woods is the way he's impressed people in his first week on the job. Like, they really like him. He's playing like an adult, and all he has to do, imagine being Peter Woods, is win some fucking one-on-ones, dude. You know where the slide's going to go. You play next to Chris Jones. Talk about being dropped into a fantastic situation. And somebody brought this up earlier. He could have been a top 3 pick. Instead, he ends up on a team that's one of the top 3 to 5 teams in the league, customarily, who got knocked down a rung and is picking all of a sudden in the middle to the beginning of the draft. So, like, very advantageous situation for him. They're at least getting to the edge of the pool from a depth standpoint inside. And then they need this guy, Thomas, to be a hit. I think he will be. I'm excited to see him. He's definitely got a pass rusher frame. You obviously have your guys like Karlaftis, who's like a real every down player, but Thomas is a specialist. And Spags can manufacture pressure. So a couple big swing picks up front for them. But the biggest swing pick is Delane, because they were down 2 guys in the secondary. They go out and draft Delane. They move up to get him. So you knew this was important to them. You bring in Snead opposite him. And if Snead is 4/5 the guy he was 2 years ago or 3 years ago when he was in Kansas City, they're going to be happy with him. I'm really interested to see if he's lost it or if he's still that guy. An incredibly physical cat. You know, he's going to beat the fuck out of people in the flat, and we'll see how he holds up in coverage at this age. But, you know, Snead at one point was one of the best in the game. And, you know, the last couple of years haven't been as good. But, again, he was in Tennessee. This is becoming one of those places where guys come back. I always talked about that in New England, how guys come back in free agency. They've got a Rolodex of guys that have left, and you know, they're like, come on home. This is one of those guys. You know, it probably brings out the best in him being there. And the thing about Spags is you don't know who's going to play where at this point. So I could tell you who I think is going to play nickel, who's going to play, I think who's going to play nickel. I think I know where Noel Williams is going to play. I think I know where Roland Wallace is going to play. But, like, these guys are all used in different ways, and Spags can kind of spin the wheel and matchup dependent, play a guy a certain place, and the next week it'd be different. So I'll just say this. I trust Spags. I have a shirt that says "In Spags We Trust." That's my old ball coach. I trust him. You know, again, last year they were the shits at so many things, and yet I read this today, 8th in DVOA before the injury, and that's why they kept fooling me last year to the bitter end, because I thought they had. If you're expecting Kansas City to lose another 10 one-score games, I want what you're smoking. Because I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not saying they're going to be 13-4, but they're not going to lose another 10 one-score games. And, you know, you talk about a very proud team that owned this division for a long time. Somebody made them bleed their own blood this offseason. And, you know, I think they lost under 10 division games in that time they were reigning over the AFC West. They were a losing record in division last year. Were they like 1-5 or some shit? So, this is a big, like, you know what make it kind of, it's like these platitudes kind of get worn out where it's like, watch out for that team. They were bad last year. They're going to be really motivated. You know how you throw motivation around in football and all that shit? I think motivation can work on any given Sunday for a bad team. But if you're a bad team, you can be as motivated as you want. Over the course of a 17-game season, who you are is gonna show. Like, it's like a slow guy trying to run fast because he really wants to run fast. Slow guy can't run fast. The Chiefs being pissed off really matters. Like, they have championship pedigree. They have experience. They've been together a long time. It's deeper when you're on teams like this. It just is. It's hard to describe to somebody, but, like, when you're on a team that's been there, the bonds on that team, the know-how, the whole thing. And that's why I think some people watch this show sometimes like, why do you glaze the Chiefs? Or you glaze some team that's been there? Like, when I was a player, I didn't hate New England. Before I played for New England, I admired New England because there's something about these teams, man. And when you corner a team like this and you miss the playoffs, you go 6-10 and it's painful. And you didn't just miss it in the last game. You had to finish the season like out of it. Like, that's a new feeling for this fucking team. You don't think they can't wait? They can't wait. So, I don't know if this convinces you or not, but I think they're going to be motivated. I think they're going to be on their details.
Well, I think he's still the best quarterback in the NFL.
He hasn't played like it.
I hear you. He's also going to be handing the ball off to the best running back by far in his career.
That's true. Although rookie Kareem Hunt was something.
That's fair.
But rookie Kareem Hunt, he didn't play with rookie Kareem Hunt. Alex Smith did. Never mind.
He played with rookie Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. And then, hey, I'm not saying it, but the wedding is in the rear view now.
Thank goodness, because boy,
Travis is on 1-year deals.
We didn't get invited.
Travis is on 1-year deals from here on out. Probably he's feeling rightfully so, a lot to prove, that he's still got some ball left in him.
How about one of our guys went to that wedding?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? That's pretty wild shit when you consider. I was like, oh, the most famous thing of the year is happening right now, and my friend's there. You know, a guy on this show is there. Now, he hasn't talked about it one bit. He's not allowed to, but anyways, I go on about the Chiefs all day because I think they're really interesting. And then finally we'll talk about the Raiders, who won't take as long, and we'll get out of here. What an offseason for the Raiders, man. A lot of good, a lot of a lot of, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do, guys. They draft first. That was kind of chalk. They took Mendoza. We knew that they needed a quarterback. And what I like about this is they've been doing the purgatory thing for a while. You know, Carr, Jimmy G, Gino, like you're in purgatory. And the Pierce hiring, I think they went wrong not giving Bisaccia the chance way back when, like, fuck, dude. Wasn't he the coach the year they lost to Cincinnati in the playoffs? Remember there was an inadvertent whistle in the red zone, and you don't remember this, but they could have won that fucking game, and Cincinnati ended up in the Super Bowl that year. Like, they had a good team, and Bisaccia was doing a good job.
Bisaccia.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't remember that.
You don't remember that year?
No, but I do remember Rich very well.
Dude, Rich is – anyways, then they went down this road with Antonio Pierce, and then they hired Pete Carroll, which just like, man, it's the oldest coach ever, and like it just didn't feel like – it felt like they were biding their time to do something. And maybe it was just like an extended tank, but they finally ended up with the number 1 pick, and they really ripped the Band-Aid off. They get rid of Pete Carroll. They hire Clint Kubiak. Just to be an organization and attract a hot name like that. Like, the Raiders haven't always been able to do that, dude. Like, the Raiders have been a distressed asset for most of my adult life. After watching them back when my dad played when I was a little kid, like, they were really good. And then, it's era of darkness. So, but then you get Mendoza, you rip off the Band-Aid. We are starting a new chapter. You get Linderbaum, who, you want to give a rookie quarterback a nice present, get him a center. And, they try to trade Crosby. They can't. That was the most bizarre thing ever. And it fell through, and we'll see. He can make them look really stupid. That could be really awkward if he plays, like, incredible this year and incredible the year after. He never gets hurt. But, yeah, like, they've had a hell of an offseason where they've raised the floor on their defense. They've added some good players. They didn't go out and swing for the fences, but they added some good players. And, I think it's the same thing when I talked about the Seahawks. Like, take your pick. We're going to run our couple run concepts, and whatever you don't do well, we're going to try to expose that. And that's kind of what he was so good at in Seattle. You're going to see a lot of motion. You're going to see a young quarterback or an old quarterback, if you look at Kirk Cousins starting the season, being protected by the scheme and by a pretty solid offensive line. It's not a good wide receiver room. Trey Tucker's your number 1. Naylor's your 2. I don't know what happens after that. I think this team probably lives in 12 personnel because I think they have the best tight end in the game in Brock Bowers. They got Mayer, the other tight end. But I think this is going to be about Ashton Jenney. It's going to be about the run game. It's going to be about bringing Fernando Mendoza along on a responsible timeline. And, Kirk Cousins can be this guy's Jacoby Brissett to his Drake May, from a couple years ago. And I don't think it's going to be as bad a situation. I think Drake May walked into a terrible situation. This is a good situation. This isn't a great situation, but it's a good situation, and on top of that, I don't think the aspirations are that high. So there's not a lot of pressure. I think Mark Davis is a good owner to coach for. I think he's a good owner, man. Like he seems like a chill guy. And so Clint's going to have time. They're going to have time. I think I worry about the guard spot opposite Jackson Powers-Johnson. I worry about the right tackle spot, but they got a good left tackle. They've got a good center. The run game's got to be big, man. You know how they say shorten a game? Shorten this season.
Yeah.
Pound the football, run the clock. When do you start Fernando Mendoza? I don't know, man. Like, to me, it seems like it's going to be later because of what Tom Brady has had to say. Tom Brady, who of course is biased because he's like, yeah, the perfect way is have Kirk Cousins roll right,
get killed
and just kill him. And then
you'll know.
Then you'll know. But I do think it's going to be like, I don't know. You could probably peruse the schedule and find a soft landing spot. But
we're not in the building, Chris. You know, maybe the game's already slowed down for young Fernando.
Maybe it has, dude.
Bye week's always the easiest answer, but it's late. It's week 13. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games.
Dude, I feel like there's no in between on this kid. He's either going to be just awful or the best player ever.
Okay.
There's no in between, dude. It's just the read I'm getting.
Then maybe right after week 7 when Myles Garrett, Aaron Donald,
you don't want to do
those fellas come to town.
I can't wait to see him play. They say he's bigger in person than you realize. And the RPO reliance thing is overblown.
Okay.
So we'll see.
This century is 25 and a half years old.
That's crazy.
Do you care to guess how many? That wasn't the most surprising part of the sentence. Do you care to guess how many head coaches there have been for the Raiders? In these 25 and a half years.
Yeah. Tom Cable was one. So was Art Shell. I don't know if that was post 2000.
You got it.
John Gruden. You've got Rich Bisaccia. You have Antonio Pierce. There were a couple more white guys in there. Was there not a Kubiak?
There's right now.
Yeah, there's a Kubiak now, but no, his dad wasn't there. Who am I?
Dude, there are 16 of them.
Shut the fuck up.
In 25.5 years.
You're kidding me.
16. You ready? John Gruden the first time.
Okay, John Gruden the second time. You're counting him twice?
Yeah.
That's not fair. There's 15.
Following John Gruden, Bill Callahan.
Bill Callahan, that's who I'm forgetting.
Norv Turner.
Okay.
Art Shell. Lane Kiffin. Tom Cable. Hugh Jackson. Dennis Allen. Tony Sperano. R.I.P. Jack Del Rio. John Gruden a second time. His emails. Rich Bisaccia. Josh McDaniels. There's a white guy for you. Antonio Pierce, Pete Carroll, and now Clint Kubiak. 16 different head coaches, 15 different people.
You know, it'd be a really good documentary. Get those guys all in a room and get them talking about what it was like coaching for the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Like over 1 million beers.
Yeah.
1 million beers.
I mean, that's a lot.
That's wild. But I think they're fine. This feels different to me. I'm not saying it's going to work out, but it feels more competent to me. I think the spy tech thing, I think having Brady in the building, I'm not saying it's an automatic. I think Kubiak is a capable guy. The last time they had the number 1 overall pick at quarterback was Jamarcus Russell. Was it not?
Yeah, probably. Purple drank.
That can't happen twice in a row.
Yeah, sure it could.
So anyways, Patrick Graham left for Pittsburgh. Rob Leonard, who looks like Dave Canales, dude.
Let me pull up this. Handsome devil.
Looks like his brother or something.
Yeah.
They both have black hair.
No, he does.
He does
very
kind of look
much
like Dave Canales, not in that picture.
And
the wrong picture.
Who's the guy? Tom Pelfrey.
Tom Pelfrey. Who's Tom Pelfrey?
Actor.
Why do I know that name?
Actor.
Yeah, what's he in?
Task.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Looks like Tom Pelfrey.
So anyways, this is Rob Leonard, 38 years old. You know, he's ironically a Crosby pick. Crosby was like, I love this guy. They're like, good. And they're like, get the fuck out of here. Never mind. So anyways, I think the influences are interesting. Spags, B-Flow, Mike McDaniel. I think he's going to want to bring some heat. You know, obviously one influence would be Patrick Graham. I think they raised the floor in free agency. You know, signed a number of good, solid players. Pay, Walker, Dean. I think Dean will be sent on a few blitzes. Taron Johnson's a guy I really like. So I think they got better. They raised the floor. You know what I'm saying? Just the floor. I don't know about the ceiling. I think this is a middling unit. You when you look at their corners, Eric Stokes is like your number one corner, who was better last year than he was in Green Bay, but still. I also think the interior defensive line is, leaves a little bit to be desired. Shout out to Thomas Booker, who's a great story out of Philly, but he's going to play a 4-eye for you. Lalu's going to play a 4-eye. Adam Butler's not really a great fit at 0-nose. Like, I have a hard time imagining that maybe like Benito Jones doesn't push him for that spot, but like I think it's like a middling defense. They've stabilized,
I like a couple Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah.
There's been the whole Georgia-Philly pipeline, but
how about a fork in the road?
You go to Georgia, you put that uni up in your library next to a Raiders.
That's kind of a good one.
Feels good.
Yeah. But I mean, Raiders fans, I'm sorry. There's a lot I don't know about this team. There's a lot of new faces. There's a new scheme defensively. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of elements that are similar to what Patrick Graham did previously, but new scheme offensively. It is a brand new day in Las Vegas, and we'll see. I mean, they averted becoming the Colts by ripping the Band-Aid off and drafting a quarterback first overall.
Hey,
we will see.
Try this on. With the 4th overall pick, the Las Vegas Raiders select Jeremiah Smith, wide receiver, Ohio State. Beautiful.
Don't mind that. They might be picking. They might be picking a little lower than that.
Higher or lower?
Lower.
Lower.
By lower, I mean
AC lower.
Oh God, that's fucking confusing. I know what you're gonna say, but when I say picking lower, picking down the draft a little bit, like waiting longer.
Higher number.
Higher number, but not picking higher.
Correct. I'm with you.
Okay.
Hold on.
I feel like
Hold on, fellas.
All right.
Hold on, fellas. I got a solution here. Earlier or later?
Or later pick.
Mm-hmm. Later pick.
Now, if you're sitting there in round 2, like earlier could, I don't know. I'm done with this.
Well, they're going to need to lose enough games if they want Jeremiah Smith. Good football player.
No, I don't think they're going to lose enough games to pick 4.
Okay.
That's an interesting one. Over or under 4? Earlier or later 4? Miami's picking 1.
Yeah. I'll go later than 4. You're right.
Just a little sneak preview. I think the Jets, you heard it here first, the Jets might be tough out. Now, I don't mean that they're tough out in the playoffs, but like they're generally tough. There's talent on that team. Let me put it that way. The Raiders, they're a little talented too. They got some talent as well. It's just it's an incomplete picture. So, yeah, let's see. They're gonna play Miami, LA. Woo. Does it really matter? They got Cleveland, New York on the. They got Tennessee, Arizona. I think they're gonna win a couple games.
Yeah, you're right.
They steal a couple games. So the only thing I didn't mention in the NFC West, and I want you Rams fans that probably aren't here anymore to hear this, is like your fucking special teams were terrible last year. Did we talk about that? It was a long time ago.
Touched on it.
We touched on it. Okay, then never mind. Hey, that's the end. That's the West, man. That's the West. We're gonna come back in a couple days and do the East. We're gonna skip the flyover states. Come back. So we're gonna do the East, and then at the conclusion of all the previews, we're gonna pick division winners and Super Bowl winners and all that stuff. So, come back for the next one. We'll be doing the East next. Appreciate it.